wings, listen up. Today's run is vitally important to our cause. Set your frequencies to Dice Time, a Star Wars Legion podcast and part of the Legion Academy Collective. Your lead wing captain today will be Ben Jetron, and your support ship leader will be Paul Watson. Let's show them what we're made of, rebels.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dice Time. I'm Ben Jetron.
I'm Paul Watson.
And I'm Trista Walker.
And we are coming back to deliver to you, once again, an epic Gen Con level of greatness. I don't know. I got too excited. I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, you need to calm down there.
I'm just so pumped. I love talking about Gen Con. I love going to Gen Con. Everyone loves Gen Con. So we got another episode for you just covering all of the events and craziness that we did in 2022. If you haven't gone back and listened to our first Gen Con episode, that we did a roundtable like this one, 2021, definitely go back and check that out. If you're just here for Legion content, there is Legion content, and we will lead with it, so that if you don't want to listen to all the other crazy stories that happen over the course of our weekend, that you don't have to. But from what I can tell, as the last Gen Con episode was one of our most popular ones, I would say stick around. It's probably going to be a good one. Paul, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing awesome. Just, still feel like I'm recovering from Gen Con, even though it's been a little bit.
Well, you say that, and here we all three are in the med bay of our ship, recovering from Gen Con.
Literally recovering.
Literally recovering. For the little rest and the high stress and that we put on our bodies during a convention.
Absolutely.
At least one as big as Gen Con. And Trista, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm great. Just excited to be talking about Gen Con again.
So am I. So, we're going to do things slightly differently this year, because I think last year we kind of jumped around a little bit, just depending on like where the conversation went, where we were kind of talking. But this year I think we're just going to cut that out and just go kind of chronologically through the days. So we'll start with Thursday, and all the Legion stuff we have to talk about happened on Thursday anyway, so that works out for that. And then we'll kind of progress into stories of Gen Con that go throughout the week. And I think we all have some good stories to tell, so stick around. Paul, did you get to see the Legion tables and everything this year? The events that they had either Thursday, Friday, or Sunday?
Yeah, I came by. Gosh, you don't even remember. It hasn't been that long. I came by. I think after round. I think I came by after round 2 on Thursday and caught up with some Legion people that I know and have met at previous events and things, and spent some time looking at the tables. There were some really nice looking tables. I was really pretty impressed with the tables and the different variety of landscapes that were out there, and they were all like really good quality and really good play surfaces, it looked like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like layouts and all of that. Not a whole lot of issues for like any specific lists or anything when I was just obviously perusing the tables pretty quickly. So right. Yeah, no, it was nice looking.
Yeah, I should take this opportunity. If you're listening to us on YouTube, then you'll notice that there will probably be some pictures coming up right now. And because in an audio podcast, you can't get pictures. But thanks to TheTerrainStudio, we are now back on YouTube officially, which is something I should have led a little earlier with maybe, but it's coming up now. So YouTube, we are going to be back on the YouTube platform now. We already are. Hooray. Yay.
Yay.
On the TheTerrainStudio channel. So our first several episodes are available on the old Legion Academy channel, and the back half of the podcast now, the newest half, including I think the last Gen Con episode as far back as that, are on the TheTerrainStudio channel now, so you can check us out there. If you don't have a real preference as to where you listen to us necessarily, like if you want to enhance your experience by seeing the pictures that go along with this, the YouTube version of this episode will have pictures put up appropriately when it's appropriate for our stories. And I'm just going to say hi to myself in the future in the editing room, and I'm sorry, because I know you're tired, and you don't want to have to do that, but you're doing it. So, yeah, as you were saying, kind of like the tables and everything, the tables, from what I could tell, were all really good. I took a lot of pictures of some of my favorite ones that I saw. There was like a Geonosis one, there was a Scarif one, Naboo, lots of Tatooine / Jakku. No shortage of sand there.
That fits with the theme.
If we needed more crate. That would have fit with the theme. Well, I see what you mean. Yeah, Star Wars just in general can't get away from Tatooine. I was going to say we need more crate if we wanted to stay in theme with this, because there was salt, sweat.
It looked pretty sweaty when I stopped by.
Yeah. Thursday was the sweaty day. Once we all saw the roster, everyone was like, well, here we go. And
I feel like...
Say what?
I was going to say, I feel like that might be a theme of our entire, show here, is sweat. and salt. And salt.
But that's not casual or light or fun. That's what we're supposed to be. So I even brought casual fun to this sweaty day. My list that I brought with me today was not Ladies' Night. So everyone who knows that that's what I normally play is now shocked.
I am still shocked, and I've known about it for a while now.
And I have to give credit to Canadian Bear from the Discord for the name of this list that I brought, but I brought Bros Before Heroes, The Empire, Agent Callus, Cad Bane, and Boba Fett was the main theme that I was going for. So I wanted to play some Double Bounty. And the last couple events that I had been with, or the last competitive events that I've taken part in with Ladies' Night, it just hasn't competitively stood up the way it used to.
They're just not sweaty enough for you.
No, I don't know that I can, and it wasn't a competitive list before when I played it, when I won the World's Invite even. It was not a competitive list then, but it had answers baked into it that could answer a lot of the stuff that was prevalent then. I think if I really wanted to apply point shifts and everything and unit shifts around, that maybe I could make it more competitive for the modern meta. But Shadow Collective had just come out, and I've only been to one event with Shadow Collective in it, and I knew that was going to be super prevalent there, and I'm like, there's not really time for me to rebake this list and then have enough reps with it to really get it down pat for dealing with Shadow Collective. So I did the next best thing, and I just completely scrapped it and went with a new list that I'd played one time.
As you do.
Right. When you want to get your stuff down pat, you just go, nah, just give me something totally fresh and new. But, Boba Fett and Cad Bane and Bosk all just got reworked, so, that's new stuff. I didn't have near the amount to run a Shadow Collective list. That was not happening. That stuff needs to be and there was a lot of unpainted Shadow Collective stuff that I've seen at events recently because everyone's just getting it painted or getting it assembled rather and getting it to the table and doing what we call striking while the iron is hot. Making it to where you're playing unknown new stuff, which is good for you, and it hasn't been deep dived enough and played enough to really get a feel for how to stop it. So there are people that will do really well with brand new stuff because people don't know.
They just don't know it as well.
Right. They don't know how to respond to it yet. So lots of Shadow Collective out in the competitive scene right now. And not as many battle forces. Paul, you and I talked about battle forces in the last episode.
Yeah.
And we've deep dive each of those lists and stuff. And I really don't see that many. What I will see is the Empire. The Empire. We did say that was probably the best one, the Blizzard Force. That's pretty much all I've seen as far as battle forces go. I haven't seen anyone really taking it competitively. I've heard people talking about it, like they're gonna do it competitively, but nobody's really done it. Not that I've seen.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am just curious if, like, again, like this event, people were thinking being a little more competitive with it, didn't want to, maybe people aren't ready to branch out into the more fluffy things yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
Although I think, if I'm remembering correctly, there was, I'll talk about running into him, but I'm pretty sure Ryan Slawowski was there on Thursday, and I'm pretty sure he was running Echo-based Defenders.
He might have been. I did not play him, so I don't recall.
I think he had triple tawns and an FD turret, if I'm remembering correctly.
I think you might be right.
And I think triple vets in there.
And I know he didn't finish top 4 or anything, so that's probably why I know my lists, or I know the lists that I played against, rather, and I know, like, a couple of the top 4 lists, and that's really all. I didn't really spend the time learning everyone's list from that day. Although I did meet and greet Ryan for a brief moment, so Ryan, if you're listening, hello, good to see you. We traded promos. As you do. I got a cool standing orders and a sticker from him, I think. Which I think I have on my binder now. I don't have the binder near me, so I don't know. But anyway, so Bros Before Heroes, if you'd like to make that at home, is Agent Callus, Underworld Connections, Tenacity, and his bow staff rifle. Boba Fett, only with Hunter. Cad Bane with situational awareness, up close and personal, comms relay, and ascension cables. Unit of Snowtroopers with Gideon Hask, comms technician, and HQ uplink. Unit of Storms with T-21. Unit of Shores with the T-21B. A Naked Mortar. An E-Web with an overcharge generator. And 2 sniper strike teams. All in all, 10 activations, 796 points. So I played around with trying to figure out how the list was going to work best. Lots of theory. Only one game, and in the one game I made one change to make it end up like this, and I think it was just switching Cad Bane from one of the training ones that he had before to up close. Because I think before I had him with offensive push, and then I changed it. Because Paul and I talked about a little bit of theory crafting for it, because I was just like, I need a list. And I'm not going to do Lady Snipe, but I want to do a different list. And Paul helped make some of that as well. So, credit to Paul as well. Yay.
Thanks.
You helped me do as well as I did.
Which was not the worst.
This is true. I did not come in last or bottom 3 even. So, start of my day. I go and meet everybody. Everybody's happy. Everyone's in a good mood, even though we have all this sweat that we're going to be dealing with, but we're all in high spirits. And first round pairings come out. Well, first off, I look at the prizes. The prizes are very cool. They have very cool cards and stuff available. And I'm like, okay, great. We get ready. I'm there like 20 to 30 minutes early. Everyone's there like 20 minutes early at least, and we're all set to go. And then 10 minutes after the round was supposed to start passes, and nobody knows what's going on. And then the AMG guys come forward, and they're just like, so we're having technical difficulties, so we're going to start an hour late. And we're like, awesome. So I guess like computers or something weren't working for the pairings or something, or they couldn't get connected. I don't know what it was, but we started an hour late. Which was not ideal for me because you and I had an event that was planned literally as Legion was ending. Mm-hmm. And it was, thankfully, not very far in the same exhibit hall. I could literally see it, from where we were. So I was like, okay, cool. We won't have to go very far when this event's over, which it may end late now. So I was like, okay, got everything ready to get my first round going. Pairings finally come up, and I'm playing my good buddy, Brian Bear. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to have a rematch. We haven't played since 2020 when I fluke beat him and got my world invite. And he was ready to get revenge. I mean, in no mean way or anything like that, but he was ready to lay some smackdown back that I deserved. So he brought Shadow Collective, he brought Maul, and 2 AA5s. There was more than that, but that's what I'm going with off the top of my head. That's the gist of it. There was some pikes, a capos and generics in there. There was 2 Black Sun units that were fully kitted, Vigos, Grenadiers, the whole 9 yards. And the idea was that he would put those Black Sun in the AA5s, drive the AA5s to where he wanted to just control alt delete a unit, and then hop them out of the bus at full strength with an aim or 2, because his AA5s were also kitted out to have these the aim guys in them, the aim pilots or crew, and they would hop out with 2 or 3 aims and delete your unit in heavy cover, and that was the end of it. And you had little to, I don't remember the exact math now, but he's like, the attack averages like 10 to 11 saves.
Oh.
Which, yeah, no, it's bad. It was no good. He one-shot I think he two-shot Boba, but he one-shot Boba and he one-shot Cad. And so, it did not work out very well for me. I've already spoiled the ending now, obviously, but the battle we played was key positions, advanced positions, and clear conditions. And we were on a Hoth looking table. So some pictures of that should be coming up now if they are not already. And, we deployed, pretty standardly. Maul was like riding on top of one of the AA5s because he put Maul in one of them, which was fun. I got Cad Bane up onto some elevated cover, and then I got him up again on a bridge just because it was so cool. And I thought, oh, that's the safe, heavy cover way that I could get across. I did not think that far ahead, because once I got to the other side, I realized, oh, I went from height 1 to height 2 to get up here, but I need to go from height 2 to height 0 to get down. And I didn't have that I didn't have a height 1 thing to jump to on that side. So I was like, oh, well, jump 1 doesn't do me much good. So I was, stuck up there, I think. Unless I'm wrong with my rules and jump doesn't work the way I thought it did. But, yeah, so I was like, I'm kind of stuck up here. But it's okay, because, like, the turn after I discovered that, he just control-alt-deleted him anyway, so he was dead. Maul and Callus had a fun little tussle that didn't really matter, because Maul made 100% of his saves. Maul made straight all saves. I probably put 6 or 7 saves into him over the course of the game, and he saved 100%. All of them, never missed one. The only wound that Maul had that entire game was the one he rode in on.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it was a tough round 1.
Maul came to win.
And he got very far. As it turns out later, Brian went on to play Sunday, which means he was in the top 4 of the day that we played. And then I think he ended 2nd overall in the entire event. So I got paired up. My first pairing was with the person who took 2nd, which means I did not get a great first pair. Not a lucky first pairing, I'll say. But it's fine, because I was there to play casual and I wasn't there to... my goal was to get 1 win over the day. I just wanted to get 1 win because my last, 7 competitive games, I have lost all of them. And I was like, I just want to remember what it's like to win a game of Legion. A competitive game.
A comeback win.
Right. I was like, even if it's a pity win. Just a
little pity win.
Just a little pity win. So, yeah, I didn't get it round 1. That's for sure. So, round 2, I'm playing with Kevin Oakes, I believe is his name, and he was also playing Shadow Collective. He was playing Gar Saxon Shadow Collective, So no Maul, no AA5s, just Gar Saxon, and then 2 Pike Capos and 2 Pikes, maybe 3 Pikes, and then a Vigo and 1 fully kitted Sun. I think was the whole list. I can double check that to be safe. But yeah, let me see. Vigo, Saxon was fully kitted. Oh, for those of you playing at home that are like, wow, that's a whole lot of points that he's missing. There was Mandalorians and there was Cad Bane. I forgot Cad Bane was there for a minute. But yeah, so there was a lot of scum and or villainy. And we played on one of the my back 2 games of this event are on Tatooine tables. So, I played on Hoth, got cold, went to the hot planet, and then once you go to Tatooine, we all know you get stuck there. You don't get to leave Tatooine. So I got stuck there. But my second game was Intercept the Transmissions, Hostile Environment, which I'm pretty sure we forgot about Hostile Environment, so I think it was just Clear Conditions by the end of it. And Major Offensive. So we were getting set up, and the round had started, and Kevin told me that he, just picked up Legion, I want to say 6 months ago, but it could have been 6 weeks ago.
Either way.
I was going to say, newer player either way. Mm-hmm. That's a big gap, I realize, but it's been 2 weeks since Gen Con now, so my memory's starting to go. But the main thing was I remember he was a newer player, and he was only 6-something old, and it wasn't years. It was months or weeks. But he was newer. And I was like, awesome. So we'll just, he lost his first round. I lost my first round. I was like, cool. This is where the fun games start because, all the sweaty people are still up there winning. And, then the people who are either sweaty and then decide, my claim to fame is over. Now I'm just going to play and have fun. People that were just there to have fun in the first place. Yay. That's us. So I was like, yeah, we're going to have a fun game. So we're not in a huge rush to get set up. And we're taking our time a little bit. He's deciding, we both have Cad Banes to deploy, or Bane tokens to deploy, so we're taking the time to, place those out. And we're just casual, we're both just as if we're at a store, just playing a Thursday, Friday night game or something, We're not in a big, we're not treating it like we're at a major.
Casual cads.
Casual cads. And we are 75-80% of the way through deployment, and the round's been going for 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes out of 2 hours or whatever. And one of the judges comes by and he's like, hey, we're X minutes into the round. You guys need to be finished with deployment now. It was just you guys need to wrap this up and get going. And I was, just okay, yeah, well, yeah, sure. And then I was we both kind of looked at each other and we were like, why does it matter? We're both, neither of us are calling you over and, claiming the other person's slow playing. And we play it out and then, we get a 15-minute wrap up and then it's diced down and we have a completed game no matter what round it is. And if we're both happy, what's your problem? I get it, you want everybody to have the fullest time that they want, but if we're both happy at the rate we're playing,
then what does it matter? Yeah.
I don't know, Paul, have you had that happen, or do you any insight as to why that would be a factor that maybe I'm not thinking of?
I mean, the only thing I can think of, and I don't know what the tournament pack and all of that said, but if it says you have 15 minutes for deployment and then 2.5 hours for the round and whatever, and yeah, and they're trying to stick to time, maybe. Other than that, But what you said,
yeah.
I feel if both you and your opponent are fine playing that speed of a game, I mean, I guess if they're thinking you're going to slow down the whole tournament because you'll be the only game left. But, I mean, what I notice in Legion, at least the events that I've been, there's always at least one table going to time, if not multiple.
Well, sure. Okay, and I can see it from that perspective. Like, hey, if we're the only game that's still going in that 15 minutes, that slows us down. So I guess I could see that. But when you have, 24 tables, or I guess 13 tables or something going on all at once, I don't think statistically I'm going to be the only table that's going to time.
Yeah.
And you should bake in that 15 minutes and just assume that somebody, at least one table is going to go to the full time. And if they're not, and if for some reason everyone's done, that's a happy bonus. I wouldn't plan for that. I wouldn't plan for the happy bonus. But that's me. So AMG can plan that way, and they can, if they want to move people along, that's fine. We were just both very confused in the moment where we were we're okay with it? Nobody called you to say the other one's slow playing? But yeah, maybe if they just wanted to make sure everyone was moving along.
Everyone on the same schedule.
So, I mean, that's fair. But, I mean, we would have been, anyway, we're talking circles now. Anyway, so we set up our deployments, we set up our Bane tokens and everything, and, this is the first time I've been duped on the Here I Am token. So he sets up his tokens two of them fairly aggressively where I thought they could be bombs. But then the third token is off to my side where almost nobody is really required to go. And I really thought that was maybe the blank one, because the other two were set up in really good spots for him to be the Here I Am or the explosion. And so I sent a strike team and I scouted out during deployment off to my side, thinking that was going to be the off one or it was going to be the bomb maybe, but it was Here I Am. And I'm like, oh, I truly didn't expect you to be here. And I had my Cad Bane, my token placement was very clear which one was Here I Am, because I don't really treat it like the element of surprise. The bomb can be the element of surprise, but really I'm using the Here I Am token to just get the best deployment for Bane that I want. I'm not really trying to surprise you with peekaboo Here I Am for real. I'm just kind of using it to deploy as best I want.
Sure.
He surprised me. I was like, oh. And I wasn't done with deployment yet, so I knew that my strike team was going to be there, and spoiler, they were toast as soon as Cad Bane pointed a pistol at him. My Cad Bane was going to appear near him, and I hadn't deployed Boba yet, so I was like, oh, I guess I'm going to deploy Boba right here too. So my Cad Bane and Boba Fett were double threats over his Cad Bane, who did not have a bounty. I gave the bounty to the generic Vigo and the generic Capo, and one of the generic Capos, because I was like, those are easy targets. And I did not think Cad Bane was going to be this kind of a threat right on my deployment line. So I was like, oh, because if I knew that, I would have picked him, because I was like, oh, well, I have to deal with you, so might as well just profit from it. But he very quickly was like, oh no, 2 bounty hunters, and he backed up Cad Bane to the corner of the board where he was almost out of reach of everything. But then I thought, okay, you've kind of just made Cad Bane almost obsolete for me to deal with, because now he's going to spend the rest of the game coming back to contest my back objective, which I'm honestly okay with. If that's how you want to spend those points, sure. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to rush my bounty hunters forward then and get them back to the fight. So Boba Fett went to deal with some of the commandos and the pikes and stuff that were playing on the center. I had a lot of my guys stationed up on a cliff that overlooked the center objective, and they did a pretty good job holding that. Cad Bane jumped up a little bit forward off a cliff that he was near in order to shoot down not only the full unit of Black Sun that were going to come from my flank, Boba and Cad both kind of gunned them down in like 2 shots, which was pretty nice. And then Cad shot down the Vigo next turn, so I claimed that bounty. The problem was his super Mandos came right up immediately next activation after I claimed that bounty and gunned Cad Bane down in the open. So, so much for that bounty. So the rest of the game is basically contesting over the middle. Saxon comes down and he decides he wants to tussle. I get Callus over to go fight with him, and Saxon pretty much, I don't think he dies, but he did not win that fight. And I want to say he died. Either he died or he wasn't one of the scoring units or something happened. None of these pictures tell me though. But what the pictures will tell you is kind of like what the last little bit of the fight looked like. Saxon and Callus were both dead by this point, so I think they both died. But the the Pikes had dealt with most of my dudes that were able to score, and most of my dudes who were able to score could not deal with those Pikes. There were 3 units of Pikes that were covering the middle objective. 1 Capo at full health who hadn't been damaged. 1 full Pike squad that I think was only missing maybe 1 dude. And 1 Pike unit leader who I pumped so much into, and he always saved. Frickin' rebel player over here with your BS white surging saves, which I've been the dealer of, so I know. But I'm like, is this what I do to people? Have them statistically throw everything and then make me lose? So, that happened. But that set me up for my last little bit for, my last stretch for winning something was I thought if I could score 1 more point with Boba getting my bounty, that I could either tie up the game or win it. My math was wrong. I still lost. But it set up for the most dynamic play, which I had 2 different judges, I'll say, watching our game. And one of them had been watching the game since like round 2. And he was like, this was like the best game going on. So I just decided to stay and watch it. And Boba was like in a position where I was like, okay, my bounty is hiding behind this wall. Boba could get his independent aim, do a speed 3 jump, and then do 1 shot in the open on this Capo with 1 dodge. And I can see if I can drop him in 1 shot. That was like my desperate attempt to get 1 more point. So I say, alright, let's do it. I give him the independent aim, speed 3 move him out to the open. He takes a shot at the Capo. 4 natural crits. Didn't even have to aim. It was just 4 natural crits. I rolled the last one to see if I could get 1 more crit out of it, and I did not. But I was like, go ahead, no dodges because it's all crits. You go ahead and take it. Or maybe it was or no, I think you had to use the dodge for the regular hit is what it was. So then I still had 4 saves that he had to make. And he blanked them all, or he rolled 1 paint and Pierce 1 took it, but I killed the Capo in 1 shot.
So I was hanging out at this time. I had come by the tables and I was talking to people. I think you were the last game still going on by that point. And
And that's why the judge was mad.
And it was close. There was another game that had like just wrapped up. And then I was like looking your way and there was that moment and both of you, like, I don't know, I think you cheered and he like he threw his arms up in the air and it was like, it was just one of those moments, those epic moments at the end of a game. And then when I ended up walking over and you're like, well, I did my math wrong. I was like, well, it was still an epic moment of the way
it was still a fun moment to have happen. It was the kind of Legion that I live for.
For sure.
And then my math was wrong, and I was like, well, you still won. And then he was a lot happier. Cause yeah, he was like, man, I really thought you just won with that. And I was like, well, I celebrated like I won with that because so did I. And then I didn't. So I was just like, yeah, well. But that was like the most fun, like my most fun moment of Legion all day. So that was my game with Kevin. So that was fun.
At least you were close to victory.
It was good enough for me. It was good enough that the game that I did win, I felt like, this was a little unfair. And I felt like the last game had that one capo, or that one pike unit leader had died, I would have had that game. So I would have been more okay with it. And I would have been like, I'm just going to pretend that, like, that's the game I won. And this other game, I should have lost. My round 3 game, I should have lost. I was playing against Marvin Harris, was his name. If he's listening and he's like, no, that was not my name, then sorry. I tried to get the names best I could from my memory and from Tabletop TO. Tabletop TO has everything locked right now, so I cannot look at anyone's, I can't look at the schedule, so I can't look to see who I actually played. I'm just going based off of my memory and the notes that I did take. So, played against Marvin, and we played on another Tatooine table, as I said before. He had the most interesting list that I played against anybody all day. Listen to this. Palpatine and 3 dewbacks.
Interesting.
There was also an assortment of shores, mortars, and 2 strike teams, but the big takeaway for me was Wizard triple lizard. And I was like, yeah, I was like, well, this is a choice.
Let's go, Marvin.
Yeah, no, I was like, this is awesome. I'm sorry you're 0-2 right now. And he's like, yeah, well, it is what it is. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the same boat. So we played Sabotage Moisture Evaporators, Advanced Positions, and Rapid Reinforcements. And we set everything up. Some dewbacks definitely came in at places that I wouldn't have liked them to, but they did. We got some, because 2 dewbacks were his Rapid Reinforcements, which I was like, oh, wow, that's a good move. Good move to be able to put them wherever you want. Palpatine set up pretty defensively with the rest of the army around one spot, around one of his VAPs, and some shores, a mortar, and a dewback, all deployed by his other VAP. And I mostly had my VAPs pretty uncovered. I had one of them where I put my reserve snipers that I deep striked onto that point. And then I just had a shore and a mortar go defend the middle VAP that I had. Callus kind of just ran straight up the middle. He was using this ramp that one of the buildings had as cover for his direct line. He was going to see if he could make it to Palpatine, or at least stop the advance of whatever was coming, maybe fight a dewback. And then I had my E-Web set out in the open, kind of, which was not a great move, but I didn't have a lot of great moves with the E-Web, so it definitely ate some early shots. Then I had the Snows and the Storms kind of set up behind the E-Web, and they mostly moved around to wherever they mostly stayed balled up, like where I deployed them. They didn't move. They didn't move a lot. And then I deployed Cad Bane over by the shore mortar dewback VAP that he had set up. And I was like, yeah, Cad Bane versus a shore trooper unit, a mortar, and a dewback. What could go wrong? That's definitely a good matchup, right? Well, as it would turn out, Marvin's dice were not on tonight.
Poor Marvin.
Yeah, no, I felt really bad. He did everything right, and we both agreed on this. He did everything right. He executed every strategy as best he could, with what he was given and with what I was doing. and his dice really just failed him. His dewbacks were made of paper mache. They came in and they didn't roll hits and they didn't roll blocks. And if you play a game where you don't roll hits and you don't roll blocks, you know how frustrating it is to just lose because of dice. So, there was some moments of the dewbacks dropping in, and yeah, Callus went up and shot one of them, and pretty much two-shot a dewback. Boba helped with both of the dewbacks because he was in a position between two of them that were deploying. The one that deployed and came by Cad Bane came far enough to where the whole rest of my army, well, half of my army was able to shoot at it, and it quickly fell apart and just died before it collided into anybody. Which freed Cad Bane to go forward and use his I'm your worst nightmare turn to basically rip apart the shores in the mortar that were just in the open. And I used the rest of my snows and the rest of my army to kind of clean up those guys so that they weren't a problem anymore. And that VAP then became easy target at that point because no one was able to contest it. I honestly thought he was going to try and take Palpatine. He had burst of speed on Palpatine. I thought he was going to like burst of speed him for a turn, and then now you will die Cad before or after I hit the VAP. He opted not to do that. And maybe it's because I was too stupid and I didn't see the math there right, but I was like, I feel like that's the last gambit that you take. You know, take Palpatine to do 2 speed 3 moves, or a speed 3 move and a speed 1 next turn, or the turn before, I don't know. And just now you will die Cad Bane. You can just kill him. And even if you die, like, I don't hit your VAP, or take a sniper with him so that they can hit the VAP or something. I don't know, but it all in all, I ended up claiming 3 of the 4 VAPs fully. So that was a pretty decided game. Did not table him. Oh, I didn't even say, I did get tabled by Brian round 1. that's how piss poor the game was going in my favor. He completely tabled me.
Well, I think that was implied.
Well, no, I just said he beat me. I didn't say by how bad. He tabled me. Those Black Sun hit like a speeder truck. So, yeah. I mean, all in all, I did end up taking that game, and like I said, I was like, well, I got the win I came for, but it feels bad because you didn't do anything wrong, and I just kind of got lucky, so... But then I was like, you know, like I said, with my last game, if there was a slight bit of difference in dice, I would have won. So I was like, you know what, I'm not that mad. There were a lot of dice time cards handed out as well. I came with 50 of each, 50 of all 3 of the styles, and I think I left with like 3 copies of each, pretty much. Paul, you got some of those cards, finally. We've been talking about them for months, and you finally got them. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I like them. First time getting to see them in person. I can't wait to play a list where I get to play them.
Well, they're all the bounty hunters, so now I was definitely like, oh man, you beat bounty hunters. Now you get these bounty hunters. And I don't know anybody that got the promos that were like, oh wow. I think pretty much everyone I handed them to were just like,
everyone
yay.
really liked them, yeah.
Yeah. I told people like, hey, if you're at Gen Con, like, hit me up and I'll find you and get you a set if I didn't get to see you on Thursday.
Yeah, you met up with like a few people to give them cards, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, last year I said the same thing to people, and there were a couple people that reached out to me and they were like, hey, yeah, I'd love to meet up with you over the weekend and like get these cards. And I was just like, okay, yeah, message me and we'll work something out. And then no one messaged me.
Well, Gen Con's a busy place, but
this year, people messaged. Everyone who wanted them messaged me.
They followed up this time.
Everyone followed up this time, and so I followed through for everyone who followed up. And I'm pretty sure I didn't. I think I missed somebody, but I told him he might even be from Ohio. So he might not be that far of a trip anyway, if he's not already local.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't remember. But I told him, I was like, hey, if you just want to let me know, like, I'll send you a set in the mail or something, like, because we missed each other. Cause yeah, like you said, Gen Con's a busy time. But yeah, that was pretty much Legion. Oh, the third game, my game with Marvin ended an hour early. We both were just so focused and play. I made up for my time that I took in round 2. We finished like an hour early. And the organizers said like, hey, so it was like 5:30, I think. We had like 5:30 or ish or something, and the event was originally scheduled to end at 6. Because of the delay, now it's set to end at like 7 or 7:30. Or I think it's 7 is when it was like set to end now.
And there was an event at 6.
Right, and my event was at 6, and I was like, well, I'm not going to miss my event because you guys didn't have your technical things set up properly or something. Like, because you had technical difficulties, I'm not going to miss my next event because of that. Luckily, we finished an hour early. I was not breakneck speeding it. I really thought it had been like 2 hours or something. I thought we were going to have like 15 minutes left because we were both just so focused on the game and we just like knew what we were doing. We didn't really sit around and decide stuff, and we were both 0-2, so we really didn't care. But yeah, we just kind of went through it, and when we were done, I was like, yeah, good game, man. And I looked at the timer and still had an hour or an hour and a half or something. And I was like, what the heck? I was like, did we really just finish that in like an hour? And he's like, oh, wow, yeah, we did.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, that felt like a full game of Legion, but played in half the time.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I was
worked out.
Yeah, I was like, man, I wish I could play the game normally like this.
And then you got your win that time.
And I got my win. So the next event was at 6, and I was like, okay, well, the judges were saying like, oh, hey, when you're finished with your games, don't take off because we're going to have a closing ceremony. And I was like, that closing ceremony is going to be like half an hour to an hour into my next event. So I can't really sit around and miss my next event for that. And I wasn't ending super high or anything, so and I already got like 4 promo cards, so I was like, I'm
gonna head out.
And then I said, okay, but here's what I'll do. I'm gonna time it, and I'm gonna watch the clock, and when the event is ending on its new scheduled end time, I will go back. Because we're in the same vendor hall, I'm literally like 10 tables away, I will go back and I'll sit through the ending ceremony. So I go to the event. I'll let you guys talk about like what you were doing Thursday before I get into the rest of, like, before I get to the second event. But I go there and I wait the hour or whatever, and I go back over of what the new scheduled ends time would be, and they were like, oh, where were you? You missed the ending ceremony thing. And it was like, and I was like, I had another event. I was like, you guys ended the thing later than you were scheduled to, so I was going to miss my event if I sat around and waited for you guys to be done. And I thought that, like, I guess all the games ended early. Not like super early, but I guess they all ended early enough that they didn't have to go full time, which I thought, it's the third round. Like, the sweaty people are going to go all the way to time.
Yeah.
And I guess not. So they ended. I think I missed out on some sniper promos or something. But the guy, as I was like, oh man, well, I would have missed my next event because of the new schedule. He just like looked around and then he was just like, come with me. And we met at like another table down, and he handed me 4 of the like core cards that he had handed out before, and he was like, we've already given out all the sniper ones, or like all the ending ceremony cards, and he was like, but I can hand these out like candy. So he gave me 4 of those, and I was just like, you know what, I'll take this over, I don't know, 2 sniper cards or something. I was like, I'll take this.
It's something.
Yeah. I was like, now I have like 6 Rebel or Stormtrooper alt-arts. So if I wanted to run a full list of 6 of them, now I have all the cards for them. or I can trade, whatever. So they were double-sided. So they were Rebels on one side, Empire on the other, and then Republic on one side and Droid on the other. So I now have 6 Rebel, 6 Stormtroopers, and I think 2 Droid and 2 Clone. So lots of cards. Overall, great event. I thought all the tables were really nice. All the ones I played on were really nice. There were more than a couple tables that I thought were less than ideal for vehicles, but all in all, pretty good. And I had a very nice time.
Well, that's what matters.
That's what matters.
Absolutely.
Paul, what did you do on your Thursday?
Thursday, man. Thursday was a lot of shopping. Just checking out all the vendors and seeing what there was. Walking around a lot. Like I said, after round 2, so what was that, like midway through the day, early afternoon or something, I was walking into the gaming hall there where you were playing Legion and looked around there, saw what was going on. It took me a hot second to find Legion. I went the long way, kind of where we were the previous year, which was
the other end of the hall.
Yeah, way down at the other end of the hall, and it was literally right by the entrance this time. But the way I came in from the vendor hall, so it was I was halfway through the room, and so by the time I backtracked, I had seen everything else in the entire hall. But then I ran into, I got to sit down with Ryan Slawski from Stabcast, and him and I have run into each other quite a few times at events, and always had a good time. We always bounce list ideas off of each other and things like that. And actually, we met at the very first event for Legion at Adepticon. The Stabcast guys were there participating in the first, what was it, the skirmish, essentially open your stuff and put it together and play.
Was it Maximum Firepower?
No, this was original. The only thing out was
pre that.
Yeah, it was the original Legion core set, and I believe there were ATSTs and snow speeders. Right? That was
those came out alongside.
Yeah, that was the first release. So that was the Adepticon that those came out. So I participated in both of those 500-point events and met all those guys. So I always make it a point when they're around to go, say hi to them. And one of these days I'll get down to one of their events.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, it's not all that far from us in the grand scheme of things. So sometime we'll have to go down and have a good time with them. But
I would love to.
So I sat and talked with Ryan. He was done with his second round already, and I think he was 1-1 at that time. So, he didn't have a whole lot of hopes of making it, but I was looking forward to his next game. And like I said, I'm pretty sure he was running, the Hoth Defenders or Echo Base Defenders, and had triple tawns and FD turret, and I'm pretty sure it was 3 naked Rebel vet squads with 3 Mark IIs. What was that? I want to say he had 12 activations too. I think he had Leia and R2 as well. So Leia, R2, 6 core with the triple vets and triple Mark IIs, triple tawns, and then an FD turret. It was just a ton of activations. And 3 tawn units, is gross. So, he seemed to be having a good time. Chatted with him a little bit, chatted with a couple of the guys from the Chicago scene. Chris Groff and Al Paz were both there in that heat. And I was able to catch up with them. And
oh yeah, I saw Al, but I never actually stopped and talked to him. We just missed each other.
Yeah,
I saw Matt from the Indy Garrison.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, I saw Matt. He was in the middle of a game when I think I was around. But yeah. So saw a lot of those people, said hi, and then probably when you were getting done at the end, I went back and did some like shopping, and then after the vendor hall closed, the only event that I had scheduled for Thursday was I played in a tournament. It's interesting because the game's like just coming out of a board game, a Civilization board game called Mosaic.
Okay.
I like it. I like the game. I think it's an interesting take on those like Civilization games. I think almost all of them have like a more military aspect, but this one is more like area control with your military than they are killing stuff and taking things over kind of thing. So it was like their entry event. Essentially what was going on is they were running two different events, one Thursday, one Friday, and then there was 3 tables playing the game up to 6 players apiece. The winner of each game then was invited to come back on Saturday and play. They had one table with all 6 of the winners from the first 2 days and 6 games. And then the winner of that they had a really nice glass trophy and an actual like copy of the game that you would win.
Nice.
And again, this game was just coming out, and this was a free event, if I remember correctly. Like, all you had to do was sign up for it. I signed up for both Thursdays and Fridays, and ended up not going to Fridays because, spoiler, we went to a different event together. We'll talk about that in a minute. And I decided to go to that instead of going another round. I got second place in the game that I played in my...
Hey.
So for never having played the game or like seen anything about it, just learning it and sitting down, like it was fun to play. I did, what I normally do in games and found a different strategy than everybody else. Everybody else was earning victory points during the game, and I decided to go the opposite and try to stack up all the victory points for at the end of game scoring. And I think at the end of the game, normally, like before end of game scoring, I was the bottom by quite a bit on points, probably by like 20 or 30 points. And then I proceeded to score like 146 end game points, and I only had like 30 or 40 before that.
So you jumped up the leaderboard.
Yeah, I almost, no, I did. I lapped myself on the scoreboard. Like I went all the way through the 100-point scoreboard and came back around and lapped where I started. Yeah, so it was cool, cool little game. Lots of cool pieces that go on the board. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it's got some differences from some other Civilization games. One of the things that I really liked about it is, each player takes one action and then it goes to the next player. Lots of times Civilization games can feel kind of like bogged down where, especially if you have 6 people at the table, one person will take a half an hour turn while they're sitting there messing with their stuff. And this game was not that way. I think the event was scheduled for 3 hours, and that was with all these people learning the game from the beginning. And then playing through it, obviously not knowing what anything does and having to read through all the cards and all of that. And we were done early. So, really, really quite a good, quick Civilization game. In the grand scheme of things, I feel like lots of Civilization games can take, 4 or 5 hours if you have that many players, especially. And yeah, so it felt pretty good. It was a fun little free event to partake in, and yeah, so that was my Thursday.
Awesome. Trista, you're still with us, right?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Well, you obviously did not play Legion.
No, I did not.
You did not play Civilization?
No.
What did you do on Thursday? This was your first time at Gen Con being, like, by yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. First year that, I decided I was gonna schedule some stuff for myself to do, because Not that I don't enjoy Legion, but I didn't want to watch you play Legion all day.
For 10 hours?
For 10 hours.
Yeah. So, that's more than fair.
But, like, we had stuff we were doing afterwards, so I wanted to go and, like, be there.
Mm-hmm.
So we got there at, like, 7:30 in the morning?
Something like that, yeah. 7 or 8.
So, yeah, to start out, I got in line for the, like, Gen Con merch booth that they have in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? Rollicrit, I think they're the ones who make all the merch. And we normally don't have time to, like, stand in line for that.
Right. Because it's, like, down the hallway.
Yeah. And we're never there usually at that early in the morning.
Right.
So usually by the time we have time, they're sold out of some of the stuff that we would want.
Mm-hmm.
So I was there. My first thing wasn't starting until, like, 9, I think. 9 or 10. So I got in line at like 7:45 or something like that, and was one of like I was in like the first 10 people that got in line for that.
It's really good.
They weren't opening until 9. So I stood in line there for an hour, but lots of people got in line behind me. Like by the time they were opening up, like the line was all the way down the hallway. And,
it looked like getting tickets.
Yeah, so I just, stood in line super early in the morning to buy you a bunch of pens, basically.
Well, not true. We bought a lot more than pens.
That's true. We did buy a lot more than pens.
Looks up at banner that's hanging on our wall.
That is a cool banner. Yeah.
You bought the hoodie that they had.
I did. And like just the day before I was like, wow, who would spend $80 on a hoodie? And then I did. But it's a really good hoodie though, so I don't regret it. But so that's how I started the day out. And then, so something I didn't know that Gen Con had is they do these like writers symposiums. So it's just like a bunch of panels that you can sit in on, with different authors and stuff. And they have a bunch of different like writing workshops and stuff. And I didn't know they had that until this year. So
writers take notes.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what the panel is too. Writers taking notes.
Oh yeah. So I scheduled myself like a couple of those to do over in the Marriott, and the Marriott is now my favorite place to hang out at Gen Con. It's my first year going over there really, because I never had a reason to before. But throughout the weekend, I went over there several times just to like hang out in the lobby, because it was pretty cool. But all of the panels that I did were like upstairs in the ballrooms, and like when you went up there, they had like swag bags for people, and so that was cool. And so I just did like a couple different little panels of like some authors basically giving tips on like working on your breakout novel and, you know, how to deal with procrastination, stuff like that. So I did like 2 with the same author and then another one with a different one. And they were both really good and really informative, and I really enjoyed it, and that's something I'll definitely do again.
Seeing as I'll always be doing Legion, you'll always have Writer Symposium Day.
Well, yeah, because like last year, they didn't do the
there
big
was no
Legion. Yeah, so we just did like the open play all day. So I was with you for that, and then 2019. I didn't go up until like Thursday night, so I missed that day anyway. So yeah, it was my first day. I spent like pretty much all of Thursday just like wandering around by myself doing different things. And it was pretty cool. And then my stuff ended by like 3 p.m. though. And
I wasn't done till like 6.
Yeah.
With Legion.
So then I was just like wandering around. I checked out the vendor hall. It was very crowded, but it was good. And then I was supposed to go to the Invaded event with you at like 6 o'clock. But at that point, I was so tired. Running on like 4 hours of sleep, and so I opted out of that one this time, unfortunately. But that pretty much sums up my Thursday.
So coming back to Paul, did you know that they had writer symposiums and stuff like that at Gen Con? Because this was my first hearing of it.
No, I didn't, and I will get us a little out of order here, but my wife came with me this year, and she was going to come on the weekend, but it worked out where she was able to come the entire week, and so I believe it was Saturday. Yes, I think it was Saturday.
Feeling like the 4th of July.
She found just a craft room. Like there's just a room that you can just go and they have all kinds of supplies and stuff. And she literally disappeared for like 6 hours one day. And I was like, where are you? She's like, I'm in the craft room. I'm like, the what? I had no idea that that existed, that was even a thing. And went up and found her, and there's all these people just sitting around these tables, making these crafts. And
that's cool.
Yeah, she made, over the course of her time there, she made I guess a collage kind of thing, of Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. It was a silhouette of Toothless that she created with all of these different, pieces of, whatever, fabric, metal, bracelet kind of things, beads, and she just painted everything black that didn't come black, and she found a bunch of things that were black, and, piece it all together into this picture. I will have to, while we're talking about it, I will get a picture of it and send it so you can.
It's already up.
Yeah, have it up there on the screen.
We're already
You're seeing it.
It looks cool.
Look at that. Wow.
So she really had a good time there, and discovered some things, apparently she was talking to some people up there that there's a puppet making class, and then how to, and then after that, after you make yours, there's a class to show you how to do some, puppeteering. And I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know half these things existed. So yeah, really interesting. There was a lot of new finds this year for sure.
Yeah, Gen Con has a lot to offer, for people who aren't as into the games. It's a gaming convention, but they have a lot for a lot of different people.
Absolutely.
So, if you're going with a gamer and you're not a huge gamer, there is stuff for you to do. And I'm finding that out more every year.
Yeah. Which is good.
It is good.
No, absolutely.
And, they have, the kids' room.
Yeah, you really wanted to go in there and make a little tile.
I did not.
You did.
I did not want to go in the kids' room.
Oh, you wanted to make the tile, though.
I considered it, and then I realized it was in front of the kids' room, and then I was like, oh, never mind. But I was like, there's your discount daycare. So you have that, too.
Yeah, but you can't just, drop the kids off, though. You have to stay with them.
Did it say that?
Yeah.
Do you think people abided by that?
I mean, hopefully. I don't
think the people that
just
dump their kids at the library, or the parents that just dump their children off at the mall and leave.
But these are young kids.
The parents will dump those kind of kids off at random places, and then it's hey, employee, you're also babysitter today.
It didn't, because I walked by there a lot, it looked like there was usually a lot of parents in the room.
Well, yeah, I would hope so. Just to wrap my last thing for that day was the Zinvaded event that you were going to do. But I think it actually worked out that you were too tired, because there was 8 people for the event. Mm-hmm. There was 3 people at each table. So we were the last 2 people. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that we would have been playing the same game.
Oh, okay.
If you did show up. So I think it worked out. But I was able to slot in next to, you know him, you love him, Chris Kerr.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, I said that too. I was like, out of all of the people of Gen Con, out of all 50,000 whatever people. Out of
all of the Gen Joy.
The what?
The Gen Joy. No? Okay.
I've never heard. What did you just say?
I got you.
You're so uncultured.
Yeah, you are. Get out of here.
Oh, okay. This is just me. I was like, wow, you're being weird. And then it's like, oh no, I'm just being dumb, I guess.
I'll educate you later.
Okay.
Yeah, you need to be educated on that one.
What?
Of all the gin joints in all the world. It's a famous movie quote, Ben.
From what? What movie?
You tell me.
I can't tell you.
Move on.
Well, jeez.
Tune in next
Google
time
it.
to find the answer.
Google it. There you go. Tune in next time to find out. Yes. Everyone's Googling it right now. But yeah, so out of everybody that I could have run into, I run into Chris Kerr, and I'm like, okay, sure. And he came with two of his friends, and they were all playing what this podcast one Legion finally dies, and everyone decides we're not going to continue it anymore, and we become a Zinvaded and Funkoverse podcast. Zinvaded! If you listen to the first Gen Con episode we did, it was the first time that I ever saw Zinvaded, and I fell in love with it right away.
Yep.
And we have kept in touch with the creators and the people who work on the game, and we love everybody who works on it.
Oh, they're so nice, yeah.
And it's an awesome game. For those of you that haven't heard it, Zinvaded's a 1-to-1 scales minigame with little insectoid soldiers that invaded our world and fight on your tabletop. There is no terrain for this game. They just actually fight on your countertop, your tabletop, wherever there's table space.
As John likes to say, the more cluttered, the better.
The more cluttered, the better. But yeah, it's not and he's strived to keep it this way. It is not supposed to be a competitive game, like a competitive skirmish game. It is just supposed to be a fun, casual beer and pretzels game, as he likes to put it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And going for that Saturday morning cartoon feel, which I think with all the story and lore, I tried to combine those with all the story and lore that's combined into like all the characters and all the personality that's pumped into it. I definitely feel like it captures that vibe. And the number one word that I use to describe the game to people, charming.
Yeah.
It's just got a lot of character and personality and a lot of fun in it. And it's just charming.
I agree with that.
John told me that there was I can't remember who it was now, but it was a creator of or one of the people that worked on like a much bigger skirmish game. I don't think it was like 40K. I don't think it was somebody from Games Workshop, but I think it was somebody from one of the bigger games. Maybe it was, I don't know. I don't remember now. But he said that the guy came over and he said that he described Zinvaded in the most non-offensive way, very cute. And John was like, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, it is. Like, it's great. It's more casual fun, and it's just like, you have all these characters in there. The Zin aren't supposed to have personalities themselves, but they come jam-packed with it feels like.
Yeah.
The game comes in a little Chinese container box,
Oh yeah,
that's how they travel
I love
around.
how it looks.
Yeah. And earlier in the year, they started a Kickstarter for their newest expansion, Don't Let the Zedbugs Bite, which was the theme of the event. So there was a picnic table set up. So there were little rubber hot dogs and hamburgers and little red Solo cups. And we were playing as 4 different hunters. We were competing against each other, but we were also fighting together, if we chose, to secure 3 samples of food. So you had to get on top of the food, and then you had to roll to see if you can get a good source or a good salvageable piece of food. And every round, zombies would spawn. Or should I say Zedbugs would spawn. They are just these zombies of these invaded universe. So they're what happens when Zen soldiers get affected by human pesticides and stuff. It's basically the zombie virus for them. So we had to fight zombies just about every round. There was a necromancer at one point, which was scary. Lots of little grubs that would bite our thighs. I did a great job securing all the food that I needed while none of the zombies spawned on me. I just ran around and grabbed objectives, and I was like, once I have 3 food, I will commit the rest of my life to making sure that everyone makes it out, and I'll kill all the zombies. But right now, my no personality, I have no actual allies mission is to get food. So I just ran around and got food. And after I got all 3 of my samples, I went to go help with the zombies. During that fight, I got bitten, I got infected, and I rolled low enough that I turned into a Zed-bug.
Well, that's not what you want.
No. There was another person who rolled and they got infected, but then they cured themselves, and it was like, nice, good job. I, on the other hand, am a zombie now. But I wasn't out. I got to play, still as a hunter, still had my food, but now I was a Zed-bug, so now I was trying to kill the currently living hunters, and I got to control a couple of the zombies.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I was like a mini necromancer. Except I was stronger than the necromancer because I had a shotgun.
A really mini necromancer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Zed-bug. But, yeah, so we had a moment where Chris was coming to tussle with me, so me and Chris are wrestling with each other, trying to fight each other, and I end up, one of the grubs, I think, bites him, or I bite him or something, and he gets infected. And then he rolled poor enough where he became a zombie. And I was like, okay. So on my turn, I have the last 2 hunters coming toward me, and and this will be a picture that's up for sure, is I jump up on the hot dog and I point forward at the 2 left, and I was like, and just I get to move the zombies on my turn, and now Chris is a zombie. So now I got to send him on my turn. I got to move him. So I just moved all of the zombies that were left, toward the enemy. It was just such a great little cinematic moment. And then, I think we ended up going to time. So the 2 hunters made it out. I lived. Or I unlived. I think Chris died, maybe.
Died.
Died. Yeah, I think he died twice. Or maybe one of the hunters died. I don't remember. I remember all the Zin did not make it out.
Some lives were lost.
I lived, and I had 3 food, and I was told that was the condition for winning. So I won, in my opinion. Everyone else will put it up for debate, but that's where we're at. So Zinvaded, that was it. Awesome fun.
Yeah.
Definitely we'll do it again. Everyone got to leave with the hunter that they played. So
cool.
I believe it was maybe a $4 event at most, and everyone got to leave with the figure that they played for 2 hours. So
yeah, worth it.
Yeah, no, very worth it. I have to give him some love because he did not. They were all speed painted, so their skin, the gun, and then the rest of their entire body and all features. Those were the 3 colors.
Yeah.
So his skin.
You gotta give it the bin touch.
I mean, I gotta touch it. At all. It's only 3 colors. But I'm gonna keep him. I got green, so I got an all green dude, and one of the factions in the game is green. So I'm just gonna paint his bits, and then his armor is gonna stay predominantly green, and he'll just be part of that faction.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I was like, this all works out. Good luck with Chris, who's got blue. What are you gonna be, a Terra Zin? That doesn't work. Anyway, so. That was Thursday.
That was Thursday.
Well,
big day.
I was going to say, it was a big day. So the rest of it won't be, we're not going to spend an hour on each day.
Get ready. We're spending an hour on each day.
They actually get longer as the days go on.
Yeah. No one wanted to sleep tonight.
Unless you're listening to this on your, I don't know, drive to work or your paint time, and you're
not going to make it.
You're not making it to your destination.
Okay.
We're so good you can't set it down. Alright.
Friday!
Friday
was our vendor hall day. It's when we did a lot of our shopping. Because we didn't really have anything scheduled until, later in the evening. So, we hung out, spent some money, spent some more money.
We, started our day playing Funkoverse.
Oh, we did, yeah, before we even left the hotel.
Yeah. So we woke up and we decided, we brought a little Funkoverse to, get ourselves ready for the Funkoverse that was happening that night. So we played a fun little game, so a picture will be up. We played a fun little game in Halloween Town with Oogie Boogie and Jack and Night King. And then my team was Arya and Black Panther and Black Widow. It was fun. But yeah, so we went around and shopped a lot. We looked at like the Modiphius stuff. We met Mothman.
Oh yeah, Mothman was cool.
Ooh.
Mothman gave me glow sticks.
That was very awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the Funko booth just to see, cause, JD, who was one of the big streamers that we met from the, Discord, the Funko Discord that we met them last year at the Funkoverse event. And he, I guess, was doing one of the giveaways that he does on his stream. And, it was one that I actually entered, and I won. And I was like, oh, I can't believe it. And it was for the Chase Peter Pan.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Yeah, so I was like, that was really awesome of him, and I was just like, oh, I don't have to buy that now.
Check that off the list.
Yeah, check. Money saved. And then it was funny because in one of his streams he was like, what? Mr. Bob, he owes me a Chase. And I was just like, what? I didn't know I accumulated a debt. And like, in all seriousness, he was like, nah, I was just kidding. It was just a bit. And I was just like, no, I'm committed to this debt now. So I had a Chase Funko of, Jasmine from Aladdin that was just like sitting on my shelf. I wasn't doing anything with it. It wasn't like, it was just there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you know what? Regift. I'm gonna gift it. And then not regift, I bought it, but I was like, yeah, I'm gonna gift it.
Mm-hmm.
So I put it in a little protector thing and I packed it with us, and then I was just like, when he gave it to me, I was just like, and here you go, debt paid. And he was just like, that's great. But we went to the the Funko booth because...
Which is a whole room.
Yeah, it was a whole room this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had in the vendor hall.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly set up for the Goofy movie game.
Yeah, I was going to say, all the Funkoverse stuff was in the room.
Yeah, Funkoverse, all that stuff was in the bonus room that they had, which was also the room that they did all their events this weekend based out of.
Yeah.
And I went in there, and they were like, welcome, and I was like, yeah. And all the Funkoverse stuff is on the opposite side of the room from where you go in.
Yeah, you zoned in on that right away.
Okay, so we walked in, I look over at the Funkoverse on the shelf, and I see exactly what I came in to look for. The Universal Monsters 4-pack Chase. Because I love the Invisible Man. The Invisible Man is my man. He was the Chase. And he was translucent. And I said, oh my god, I need it.
Which, if anyone knows Ben, they know how much that is a big deal to him, because a few years ago when they came out with like the Invisible Man Pops, like the Funko Pops, he really wanted the Chase version of that.
Because it was invisible.
Yeah. And we drove out of town to Walgreens because Bloomington didn't have Walgreens. So we drove out of town like multiple times.
Because it was Walgreens exclusive.
Right. Looking for that and never was able to find it. And so this sort of made up that for him a little bit.
And I mean, I got the normal one too. So
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I was like, I need this Chase Invisible Man. And Funko does a great job, like Funko Games does a great job. They did last year, and I was like, I bet they're going to do it again this year. They do an awesome job stacking chases for every day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you didn't buy your Funko stuff Thursday, or if you didn't buy your chases on Thursday, they're gone for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Like a certain company that makes Legion did, where they sold all their stock on trade day before the public got in and said, we're done. No salt. They don't do that. They're better than that.
Yeah, they had a lot that they would rotate in throughout the weekend.
Yeah. So no matter what day you were there, if you went, you
had a chance.
You had a pretty good chance to get a Chase.
Well, because then there was some other guy who noticed how excited you were about that, so then he was like, whoa, what's a Chase? And like, so you told him about that, and then he was like, oh, I wonder if there's any more, and he like moved another one, and there was another one behind it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I saw that right away, and I was like, ooh. And, like, you were, I think, talking to, like, the Funko person who, like, was greeting people.
Yeah.
Because they were just like, oh, like, how's your day going? And you're like, oh, good. And I was just like, I see the chase. And I just started speed walking off.
Oh,
because
was that
they had
our
to,
guy?
No. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't think so. But I was just like, I see the chase. And I just started, like, speed walking around, because you had to walk all the way around the room to get to the line.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I have a lot of ground to cover. I'll be back. And I just started speed walking off, and you were like, oh, yep, okay. But then I got it. So I was like, yay. And they also did, in the Pin Bazaar, they gave away these awesome power line pins.
Yeah.
From
power lines.
Power line.
Because, and it's glittery.
And yeah, it's glittery. I didn't know that from the promo images. So it was very sparkly and fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we had to, you had to spend like $15 to get that.
Yeah.
Which we did a couple times.
Well, you did, and then, like,
I did
later that night I bought.
And you bought
the
Rear Window game that they came out with.
So then I got one. And then Saturday night we went to the Goofy movie.
Got 2 more for free.
So we ended up with like 4 of those Powerline pins.
Now we can trade. They're for pin trading now. Next year we actually have to go to the pin trading bazaar because we didn't this year.
Yeah, it's like in a whole other building.
That's in the Lucas Oil Stadium.
Yeah.
Which I've never been to for Gen Con.
Yeah.
I have been for Sport Event, but I have not been for Gen Con. But Goofy Movie was a theme for Funko this weekend.
Yeah.
Because they were releasing the Goofy Movie game. And there was also a special reason, which we will get to tomorrow night when we get there.
When we get to Saturday.
No, tomorrow. You have to keep listening. 48 hours.
Oh, okay.
It's going to be like tomorrow by the time we get there.
Let's talk about the first Funko event first that we did.
From last year?
No, from this year.
Oh, okay. Funko. For some reason thought you said Funkoverse, and I was like, the first Funkoverse. We only did one.
Schedule here.
I get you.
I mean,
before we got to Funkoverse, we played one little game. After we bought the Universal Monsters one, we played another game
at the Marriott.
At the Marriott, because there was nice little space to sit down and chill out, and we just played there, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Paul, what did you do Friday day?
Before.
Yeah, before the event in the evening. I had one other event scheduled earlier that day, and I always go, for 2 years now. It's not really like always yet, I guess, but I go down with a buddy who is a very big Star Realms and Hero Realms player.
Okay.
Bigger into the Star Realm side of things. And so he always plays in those events. So I signed up for the Hero Realms event, which was Friday afternoon. And those events, at least the ones that I always sign up for, they always have multiple events. But the ones that he always signs up for, and I like to participate in as well, I think it's kind of a cool thing, is called I think it's the Legends events. Yes, Legends? I don't know. I could be mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But essentially what happens is like you play through and it's a quick little game, quick little deck builder where you're just like heads up, going against the other player across from you. And you play some rounds of Swiss, and then they cut to the top 8, and then they do best 2 out of 3 games for the next 3 rounds. And the winner of those events not only gets, there's cool stuff for like top 8 and then top 4, top 2, and then the winner gets a cool trophy. But I think the coolest part about it is then they also create a card of you to put in their next set of the game. So they work with you to like come up with like what your character would be, what like faction you would fit in, and all of that. And so those are really cool little events with cool prizes and stuff. So I participated in that one, and I ended up losing in the first round of Swiss, which you can come back from that, but it's like it's not fantastic. Hard. Yeah. just because of the way it works with like the stuff. You really have to win like all the rest of your games.
Sure.
And so then I proceeded to, my friend always always finds a group of people that he plays with online and stuff, because both of those things, Star Realms and Hero Realms, are apps that you can have on your phone or your computer, those kinds of things. And he always, hangs out with the people that he plays with online who are all really good, play hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. And I proceeded to have to go through the gauntlet of 3 of his friends in the next 3 rounds, and ended up beating them all.
No way.
Putting them all like pretty much out of it. And then I proceeded to lose the last round of Swiss and tie. And I think I ended up, I either ended in 9th or 10th place. It was like really close, like on the edge there. And so I missed the cut, but of course had to take out all of these other people on the way, just cause I got some really like,
if I'm going down, you're all coming down with me.
Yeah, it was just one of those.
That's great.
And so, yeah, I played in that. I think he made the top 8, but did not end up winning this one. I think he ended up playing in the top 2. We left because, we had the Funkoverse tournament to go to. And so we were like, yep, we're going to go grab food and then go to that. So
what I'm hearing is there's no Paul Watson card coming out for that game.
Oh, not yet. I'm not that good at that game.
Not yet. Oh, I like that answer.
I'm coming.
There will be a Paul Watson card in this game.
Yep.
Check back next year.
Yeah, that's my goal.
Stay tuned for next year's Gen Con episode where we announce the Paul Watson card.
Yeah. So then I think we met up with you guys after that.
Funkoverse.
Yeah.
So if you listened to the last episode, well, if you don't want spoilers, go listen to it right now. Pause this episode. Go back, listen to the Funkoverse.
Yeah, listen to the whole 2 hours of it, and then come back.
Yeah, real quick. You're already here for what, an 8-hour show, 10-hour show. So yeah, I mean, what's the difference? What's 2 more hours? But we were the world champions of the 3 people right here in this cast were the 3 world champions of Funkoverse.
Team Dice Time. First ever world champions.
Sadly, that is all we are now.
Yeah.
We are just the first world champions.
Well, the first downhill thing is that they were only doing teams of 2 this year.
Yeah, that was really the beginning of the end.
So
because we didn't get all 3 of our teammates.
Team Dice Time had to break apart a little bit.
So, of course, we weren't going to win.
Yeah.
We needed everybody.
We didn't have the integrity of our team.
It was a team effort.
And we were missing Paul from the team this year.
That's right.
Cheetah did a lot of work last year. You missed that this year.
Yeah.
I played with one of my friends that hung out during the weekend. His name is EJ. He
EJ,
actually, he doesn't. He hasn't played in a lot of events the past couple of years at Gen Con because he used to be big into the Heroscape community. Well, I think he still is involved in the Heroscape community, but used to be big that they'd have big tournaments and stuff of Heroscape at Gen Con, from what I understand. And so
you just do that all the days long.
Yeah, him and
fair.
I think his brother were like really big into that scene for a long time, and now it's not at Gen Con anymore. So they
just like
they made their own like little convention, like SkateCon or something, I think, where they just go and play that. And so they just separated it out a little bit. So he just kind of wanders around with us, and I was like, hey, you want to come play? And
this is a great convention to wander, though.
It is.
Oh,
like
no,
if we haven't said it enough, this is like the best convention to just wander. You will find stuff to do. You will find your next favorite game.
I mean, that's like Sounds Invaded.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I feel like that's one of the reasons why I keep my schedule pretty open and don't play things like a full day of Legion, is because I can walk the vendor hall for 4 days straight and still continue to find new and interesting things that I want to check out and try, and or demos or whatever it might be. Some demos that I was like, I was like itching to go back and play the demo again because I was like, I want to play that game again because I want to see if I can do something else.
So the other thing that they did was they did drafts a little different this year.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was only teams of 2, there was only 1 copy of each character instead of 2. And they did, I liked this part, they did a snake draft. So whoever got number 1, we all picked numbers as we came in. Whichever, and it was like 1 per team instead of 1 per player.
Yeah.
So team number 1 got to go up and grab their first pick. Then 2, 3, 4, all the way through 24, I think.
I think so.
Yeah, I think they're 24 or 20 something. I think 24. Because I think we were like 14.
Mm-hmm. We were like in the middle.
Yeah, we were like right in the middle, which I'm fine with. They then go all the way through 24, and then 24 circles back, and they're the first ones to pick their second character.
Mm-hmm.
And then it snakes all the way back down to number 1. And I honestly think that it's the most fair way to draft. I really liked that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty good.
If, on teams of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if I preferred, but I liked last year where you had the luck of the draw, and then there were still 2 of every character, so.
Yeah, but it did take a while last year.
Oh, it did take a long time.
So that's true. That's probably why they altered that a little bit too, is to move it on a little faster.
Yeah. So, Team Dice Time, because we got the name, because we were 2 of the 3, returned, but we did not have Thanos. Thanos was gone by the time we got up there for the first time.
Yeah.
And I was honestly terrified for the team that I heard him end up on finally. Doc Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Doc Brown and Thanos. I was so not excited to play against them.
And we didn't have to.
And then we didn't have to. And I honestly expected them at the final table, and they surprisingly did not make it.
Yeah.
They lost right, but it was semifinal. But our team was the Invisible Man and Black Widow.
Yep.
We thought we were going to get a third character because the thing said that we would be 2 players but with 3 characters. So we were also going to get Bugs.
Like, literally up until we were in line to pick characters, we thought we were getting 3 characters.
So did they.
Yeah.
And then we go through the first line, and we get our first character, and like most of the way through, they're like, hey, actually just 2. And we're like, oh, okay.
See, I didn't even hear that, so I was under the impression the entire time until we were like playing that we were going to have 3 characters. And I even thought that after the first round, I was like, maybe now we're going to get our 3rd character.
No. So our team was Team Dice Time with Invisible Man and Black Widow. Paul, what was your and EJ's team?
So I guess first I have to preface this with, EJ walked into that room not knowing how to play the game.
Sure.
Like never played it before, had no idea of how to play. And so the event is labeled as an expert level event so we're sitting down at the table.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
last year there were a lot of people that hadn't played.
I was like, hey, here's the rule book. Like, take a quick look, but it's pretty simple. Like, the basic mechanics are pretty simple in the game, right?
Yeah, I guess it makes sense since it goes kind of fast.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And then I heard the person sitting next to me, say something along the lines of that it's an expert level event. And I was like, oh yeah, it is labeled as an expert level event. I looked it up quick. And he's like, what? I was like, we'll be fine.
Yeah, right. I mean, the people like who run it don't run it like an expert level event. Not to say that it's not like well organized, because it was very well organized.
Oh yeah.
It just, they don't like exclude people that don't play the game.
Yeah.
Welcome who haven't played the game. So I mean, it doesn't feel like you're not welcome there.
I mean, I will say a little bit of a spoiler alert. It is an expert level event now, apparently. So
depending on who shows up, it can be an expert level event, yes.
So EJ and I were sitting there talking. He's like, who's good? I was like, man, I don't know. I just know.
Which is the same conversation we all had last year.
Yeah.
Right. I essentially just told him, I was like, here's the people that I played against last year that I thought were really good. And I mentioned like the Night King from Game of Thrones. Who else did I mention? I mentioned, that I thought Iron Man was going to be pretty good because of his, like, just the extra actions he could get. I talked about, like Jaws being very tanky. I talked about Doc Brown being able to flip the cooldown track if you have a big hitter like with him. So like I just threw out a couple characters that I felt like Thanos, Kool-Aid Man, obviously those are very strong ones, right? Like I threw out those. And I just kind of left it at that. And so we went up there and we were clueless on what to pick. And so we ended up grabbing the Night King. And so then on our
solid
way,
choice.
Yeah.
Yes, so he was a good pick. He has got some good range damage and then has some little, undead that he can be annoying with. Mm-hmm. And so on the way back, I was like, hey, let's just find someone who matches the tokens on the Night King. So the Night King has, I want to say it's blue and, gray and yellow?
Gray and yellow.
Yes. And so we found another character who also had a gray and yellow token, and that was Severus Snape.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
And so what ended up being accidentally really good, we had a very good ranged attack group of characters there with the two of them, and then with the matching tokens, we were able to do whatever abilities we wanted, extra. And Snape has some good supporting abilities that he comes base with, and then the Night King was kind of like the heavy hitter when needed to be. Accidentally had a pretty solid team.
Yeah, no, I listened to what you guys got and everything, and I was like, oh wow, this was a really good team. So they did like they did last year where you played a bonus, like a freebie first round, just to decide the order of who would get items. Mm-hmm. So we played against, the team we played in our first round was very hard.
I loved them though.
I loved them.
Yeah, they were so nice.
They haven't played a lot of Funkoverse, and they had T-Rex and Jaws.
Yeah.
That was such a cool combo.
I was terrified of that. And it was a really good combo. It works really well together. And we almost beat them, but I forgot.
At 1 point, yeah.
It was 1 point, and the only reason is I forgot that if you end your turn next to T-Rex, he gets a free challenge on you.
Mm-hmm.
And
yikes.
Yeah, and that honestly started the downward spiral that was we couldn't win anymore.
Yeah.
Because he knocked me down, and then we couldn't score, and so, yeah. It became a whole thing.
And then they just barely scored on us.
At the end, yeah. And that was it. I traced our defeat back to that moment.
Yeah.
Because I was like, we had an alright strategy and everything was going good. And then that happened, and then it was like, no.
Well, because we didn't know they were going to do it a little differently too, where they were going to add up your points from each round.
I don't love that.
Yeah, that was there were a lot of things that they did differently this year that I thought were good, and then that was one of the things I didn't like that much.
Yeah, I mean, like, I get it though, but it just, I don't know.
Yeah, cause
it felt weird to, like, if you won your first game, but then, like, you could tie on the second game, and then you could lose because, like, your opponent got a better opponent the first time, and you had a really tough first game. Mm-hmm. So it was like, I don't know.
So, like, yeah, you could be doing
luck stuff.
You could be doing really well in your second round, and, like, you could win in your second round, but if you had, like, one less point from the last round, then there was no chance of you winning unless you were able to really just get a lot of extra points.
Right, you'd have to, like, blow your opponent out of the water would be your only chance to win.
Yeah.
So... which is basically what we had to face on our actual round one. But the item that we got from our bonus round one was, we got fog juice.
Oh, yeah.
Fog Juice is an item that just gives you another gray token. And we were a gray and blue team, so we ended up having 3 grays and 2 blues, which was good. If there was an item in the game that gave us a free blue token, I would have taken that first, though.
That's fair.
Because 1 blue token was always going to Invisible Man every turn for sneaking.
Yeah, you did love to sneak.
Invisible Man loves to sneak. His whole thing was that you cannot see Invisible Man unless you are adjacent to him.
Right.
So I was almost ready to step up against Paul's team, which was all ranged, and then be like, hey, you can't actually hit me.
You can't see me.
You can't see me, John Cena. But we did not, so. But we lost to Jaws and T-Rex, and then we also lost our following round to JD. We played JD.
Yeah, good game. Not
fast.
for us.
Fast game. They played Captain America and Wonder Woman, and they smoked us at leaders.
Yeah.
It was
that game was not close.
That was not a close game.
So, spoiler, we are not the world champions this
year. Correct. We are not the world champions this year. But Paul didn't lose his first round.
No, he didn't.
So there's hope. Maybe Paul is the world champion.
Yeah,
Paul, what item did you get, and how did your first 2 rounds go?
So the first round that was just for like item picks, right? Like we, I forget who the other character was that we fought. It was Peter Pan, who is gross, by the way. He just hops around to objectives and takes those. Thought we were gonna lose right away at the beginning of that one. Just based on him being able to pop up wherever he wants on the board and just get the objective and then bail again. But the other character is it like Swamp Thing or something?
Oh, the creature.
The creature, yes, the creature. Yeah. 'Cause he can put like tunnels out, right? And he can like pop. Yeah, so their team had like a lot of movement shenanigans.
Tons of mobility there, yeah.
Yeah, so that was a really interesting team to face. We ended up being able to squeak it out. It was like 6-5, I think, points wise. So it was really close at the end. We were able to get, I guess I don't even know, maybe there's some experts listening that could tell me if I'm wrong or not, but I was ending up doing some cheeky things by body blocking Peter Pan from popping onto objectives, by leaving my skeleton guys, my undead guys on top of them, so that way he couldn't spawn on them, essentially protecting them from Peter Pan, coming back on top of them, flying around. So we got that. So we went and got our item. Again, we're like kind of clueless on what to pick, and we ended up picking something that just worked phenomenally with our stuff, which was Felix Felicis, the Harry Potter like luck potion. And what it does is when you are doing a challenge action, you just get to set one of your dice that you would roll to a crit and then roll the rest of them. And so, yeah, really, really good. So we were able to put that on Snape because he had a lower amount of dice that he rolled on his ranged attack. So the Night King could still hit you with a 3 dice challenge, and then if Snape then goes with his range challenge, he can just hit you with 1 automatic crit plus whatever else he rolls on the 1 extra die. Could be very, just very, very powerful. And it was, every time we used it, it was phenomenal. So yeah, we got that as our item, and it kind of carried us along. Our next round, I forget, we played against a character that has a detachable arm. Sally, yes. And again, here, I know very little about Funko, clearly, because I don't even know what all the characters are.
You were there.
And then...
You're a world champion.
Is that who we played? Did we play Sally? Yes, we played Sally, and then we played, what was the other character on that team? Maybe one of the Golden Girls?
I can't help you with this one, Bug. I'm sorry.
Yep, sorry. I mean, and no, it wasn't Rose. Spoiler, that's later. Anyway, we were playing leaders on that one, which is, that's the second round, right? That's what you guys were just talking about. And so we had Severus Snape as our leader with the Felix Felicis, and he was able to 1-2 punch and just kill their leader with our leader, with that potion. He was able to use the potion on one challenge, to do an auto crit, and then rolled into, I think, just like another hit. So like 4 successes. And then he was also right next to the character. And so he was able to use Snape's other really powerful attack, which is, I think, a 4 dice challenge if you're right next to them. So went back to back into that and just knocked out their leader in one go.
Gross.
Yeah, really, really, really strong. So yeah, that was our leader win. And then you said you guys lost the leader round?
We lost the leader round, so we were already out.
Yeah.
So then,
some world champs we are.
So the next round we played.
So everyone keeping track at home, just real quick. So Paul, by himself, with his friend who has never played Funkoverse before, got further than the both of us 2 previous world champions did. So, before everyone thinks that Paul carried us last year, no. It was a team effort. Paul didn't win this year. If Paul won this year, then yes, he would have carried us. Spoiler, Paul didn't win this year. Sorry.
I did not win this year. No, I honestly don't think I was the reason we won last year, that by any means, but
Thanos.
Thanos was really good, for sure.
Thanos, and then all of it. I know that there were moments that all of us had an idea or a plan that the other 2 didn't see right away.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was part of the fun of all 3 of us playing together, was we all got to see these moments and be like, oh, we can do that.
And then what was it? We did that all the way throughout, and then the one time during like the championship final game, right? We all kind of looked at each other and were like,
yeah, we all saw the moment happen, and we were all like, oh,
it's happening.
The big Thanos move.
Yeah. Okay, so back to this year. What was this? Round 3, technically. We played against. Don't know these characters.
Helpful.
A dude in a wheelchair with like his brain exposed. Is that
Dr. Zink?
Zink?
Zink? Oh shit.
Oh, you look like a fake Nightmare Before Christmas fan now. Finkelstein.
Yes.
Yeah. You got the doctor right.
Uh-huh. I said Fink.
Yeah, you did. You had it right.
Continue.
And so, it was him and Ron.
Oh, it's a good team.
Ron's
a good character.
Yeah, Ron is really good. A really good supporty character, that can do quite a bit. Especially with another character who has a little ally token. Because Ron lets everybody on your team take another, like, action, which includes those little support characters. So really quite strong, combination there. Which then, we were able to get again with that combination of Snape hitting with that automatic crit was just proved to be too much, and we were able to knock them out. One of an interesting play during one of the turns of that is I had two of the little undead tokens out for the Night King, and I was able to the Night King lets you activate them at the end of his activation. You get to activate your skeleton or undead tokens, and either do a move or an attack with them. And then he has an ability that if you spend the yellow token that you have, you can move them 2 spaces and attack with them. And these are just 1 dice attacks or challenges, when you do them. And so on one of my turns, I had both of the tokens out, and I proceeded to do that ability with a yellow token twice. So move and attack with them each. So 1 die each, and then did it again, 1 die each, and then ended my turn and did another 1 die each attack. So attacked with 6 individual dice attacks and ended up, I think I knocked out one of the people on their team, and then had the other one laying on the ground and had knocked out their ally token all in that turn with just the little undead tokens roaming around, doing silly stuff. So that was an interesting. I was like, well, I can't really do anything else. I'm out of range and all that, and just made these little tokens run around and do everything for me. So that was a funny little moment in that game that paid off huge, because I think 2 of those 6 attacks ended up being critical. So it was just sometimes
when you turn the tide of Funkoverse battle.
Yeah, it was a good time. So we won that one.
Hooray!
That was a good game. It was close. Like, they were able to get a lot of points early because of Ron's ability to give extra action. So that one was interesting too. And then
so you guys took Ron out of the final.
Yep. And then we went into the semifinal round. So 1 round before the big battle royale that they like to do at the end of the events here. And I learned a lot in that round. One is that there are some people who, like I mentioned earlier, have some sweaty combos. And the other thing that I learned is that this company is not worried about balance. Because the team that they had, and I said this during our game, I said, I don't think you're cheating. It just feels bad.
Yeah.
Because
it feels bad.
Yeah, that combo feels really bad.
Iron
especially if you don't play the game all that much. Iron Man and Rose, and essentially what happens is, I mean, your characters, you're playing 2-on-2 like we were for this event. Mm-hmm. In a round, your team is getting 4 actions. That's the base, right? Every once in a while, you can get up to, an extra action or 2 or something to get up to like 6 or something. For those of us in games, we know, right, action economy is usually a very good thing to have, right? Same thing in like Legion. If you have extra activations on your opponent, you can just go and go and go without them being able to respond. It can be very good. Without boring too much of the details of how the combo works and all of that, essentially, it is not uncommon in 1 turn for that, or 1 round for that pair, just the 2 of them, to have 12 activations between the 2 of them. So they
12
are
actions.
12 actions. Sorry, 12 actions. So they are tripling what you normally get in a round. And there's just not a whole lot you can do about that. I mean, we gave it a go. I mean, there was one point early that I was ready to just be like done with the game. Like I said, sweat and salt. We ran into the sweat and I got a bit salty. So yeah, it just feels really bad, that combo. And,
yeah, and the original, like, full team, and I had learned about some of the, like, quote-unquote meta teams over the course of being in that Funkoverse Discord since last year. And I knew that was the number one combo that I was going to be looking out for, because the third character that goes on that team is Hagrid.
Yeah.
But that's a full 3 team. So it's Hagrid, Iron Man, and Rose. And the item which they were also able to secure was the basketball. Which with all the dice that they roll, even when Iron Man challenges himself, for any crit that they roll, they get to bring tokens back faster.
Yeah.
So it's a really, really nasty combo.
And Iron Man does that already.
I'm upset that none of the other sweaty people that were there decidedly went out of the way to break up so that wouldn't happen, but it still happened.
It all lined up for them.
Yeah, and they weren't even like first or last. They were just kind of in the middle, and they got it. They got the exact setup they needed, and no one stopped them.
Yeah. It's it's again one of those things where it just, like I said, it doesn't feel great when you run up into that combo. And the thing is again, I learned about the balance piece of it, right? That combo could be not completely removed from the game, but make it much more manageable with the change of 1 or 2 words.
Yeah.
Like on their rules and how it plays out. So it's one of those things that could easily be changed, but I just don't know that they will, because it's not that kind of a game.
They don't do
for
erratas,
them.
really.
Right.
I don't know that they've done erratas for the game.
Yeah. And I get that. Like, I don't have any issues with that. It's just with events like that, you have to, if you're going to go into an event like this, you need to know all that stuff, which is just different than what I was expecting from year 1 into year 2.
Yeah, year 1 I felt like there was almost little to no sweat.
Not really.
No meta was going on. I mean, Ron and Night King, I think, were on the same team with JD. I think they had Ron and Night King, they didn't have Night King.
It was Daenerys, right?
Yeah, Daenerys.
Because she had the dragon tokens that Ron was giving extra actions to. Yeah, it was quite good.
That was about as meta as it got, and they made it to the final, and so that's expected. But yeah. Anyway, well, while you were out winning, we were training. Cause we had decided we were just gonna stick around and play Funkoverse with anyone who wanted to also play. And around the time that me and, that Trista and I were like, yeah, we'll just kinda hang out and maybe we'll go talk to some people real quick and then like we'll play a game or something. There's this little kid, like, waist high, who like turns around and he's just like, do you guys wanna play with me? And I'm like, yes!
Of course.
How can we say no to that?
Him and his dad had gotten knocked out like the same round that we did. And they also just like wanted to hang out and play, so.
Yeah.
We sat up at one of the empty tables.
Just went to town.
Yeah. The Funko staff brought us over like some extra characters, like 2 extra characters to play with, so we each got 3 characters.
Well, they actually brought us all the characters that were undrafted.
Oh yeah.
And then said, go ahead and draft a 3rd one.
Yeah.
And so their team that they had before was, I think, Quint and Sophia?
I think so.
And then they drafted LeBron James?
Yeah. Because the little kid was like, LeBron James.
Okay, so because I think, unless they drafted LeBron and then they drafted Quint or Sophia, I don't remember. But that was the 3rd one they drafted, and then we drafted
Dumbledore.
I'm so glad you said that. I was about to say Gandalf.
Really?
Because I'm dumb.
Uncultured.
Yeah, I know. But I've seen all the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah, because I showed them to you last year.
But I've seen them all now, so I can't be uncultured. But yeah, so we drafted Dumbledore, and we had a fun little team of Black Widow, Dumbledore, and Invisible Man versus Sophia, Quint, the Hunter from Jaws, and LeBron James.
Yeah.
And that was a fun team. And we had a fun little game. As the rounds were going on, they were still, like they did last year, they were giving prizes to all the people that had played in that round, and then giving prizes to the people that were still in.
Yeah.
The round that we got knocked out, which was the first prize that we weren't getting because we were out. Golden dice.
Yep.
Anyone that knows who I am knows that I am a sucker for gold tacky stuff. And gold dice is the coolest, like one of the coolest prizes that could have been given out for me. And I was salty. I was like, I cannot believe I missed out on these gold dice. I'm gonna have to try and see if I can, like, pawn them off Paul or something, or Paul's friend who doesn't play. I need a set of these. And so while we're sitting there playing our 3v3 and I'm stewing in my salt, and I'm like, oh man, I missed out on the gold dice. Gosh. And I'm kicking myself, and I'm like, oh man, if only we got a different, like, matchup, or if we had a different team, and I'm like sitting there, like, going through all that while also just trying to play a fun casual game. One of the Funko reps comes over with, like, a bag of bags of dice.
Yeah.
And just sprinkles one in front of each of us, and he's like, oh no, these bags of dice are falling all over the place.
Yeah.
And then, like, looked at us, looked away, and then walked off.
Yeah.
And all my salt was gone in that exact moment right there. Mm-hmm. And I was having fun again.
That fixed the whole thing. And then that game was, like, probably the funnest game that we played.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, because
there was a lot of back and forth, and it was just very laid back.
Plus, there was no pressure. Like,
yeah,
we already were done trying to defend our world championship. We didn't have to worry about that anymore. So we were just able to play with the kid and have fun.
Yeah.
And the Funko Games staff is amazing.
They're awesome.
It was a lot of the same people that they had last year, plus, like, a couple new people.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, some of them definitely remembered us from last year.
We had so many people recognized us, and I was just like, oh my gosh.
And, they, like, multiple different people, like, they kept bringing us over, like, the prizes. We got most of the prizes.
We got everything that you were supposed to get.
Aside from, like, the
grand prize.
Yeah.
'Cause then the next round, the semifinal round, was the gold bride.
Yeah,
the Bride of Frankenstein. Mm-hmm. And a gold shovel.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, that's cool. And then I thought, well, they're probably not going to give us those. And I was like, I'm content with the gold dice. Yeah. And then, sure enough, as the round, they walk over to our table, we're still playing, and they're just like,
slide it over.
Oh no, look, stuff falling out of my hands. This is crazy. Whoa. And I was just like, man, they're awesome.
Honestly, they just really liked that we stuck around and were playing.
Yeah. And I knew I knew I wanted to stay till the end of the event already, because last year's event was so awesome and they were so great with prize support and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then this year they were like, in the description, they said, like, even if you get knocked out, feel free to stick around. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are you telling me I'll get are you telling me there's more fun even if I lose? Either in swag format or in fun format?
Right.
I will stay. You've convinced me. And we were like, we got knocked out round one, and then we stayed to the end of the thing anyway. Mm-hmm. Then we watched the final game with everybody, the Battle Royale, which you can go watch that game on JD's stream, because stream the whole thing. I even streamed part of it because JD's phone was dying and he had to play. So I was guest hosting it for a moment.
Yeah.
And Iron Rose took the day. So yeah, it was a very, very well. There were moments in the final round where I thought, maybe the underdog Morty and Marty would win.
I always pull for the underdog team.
Me too. Paul does too.
No offense to the sweatier teams.
It's not as fun if you take the most competitive list and then the most competitive list wins. It's more fun to watch the underdog movie.
Yeah.
It's more fun to watch the underdog come in and be like, you're the big bad guy that's supposed to win, but I'm gonna win, ha! It's more fun. So we were rooting for underdog teams, but then Iron Rose took the day. And, that's still guys from the Funko Discord, and I still love all those guys, so.
Yeah, and, like, there were just other people that we had met last year that were there, too, like.
Chong.
Yeah, like our friend Chong, yeah. He's a super cool dude. He was just, like, he came by himself last year and this year.
And still got to play, because he found people.
Yeah, he was part of the, Game of Thrones, Winter is Coming team last year that we played in. Yeah.
That team was rough.
That's where Paul learned about the Night King.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was real good.
And he's the one that gave me the Jack Skellington prototype to match my Oogie Boogie one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he's a super nice dude.
I was gonna say he was one of the first people to recognize us.
Well, he was,
and it was so funny.
Yeah.
He was first in line, and we were like second or third or whatever. And the rep or whatever was like, "Are you guys here for Funkoverse?" And like we're like, "Yeah." And Chong turns around and he's just like, "Yeah, they won last year." And we were just like, "Hey, bud, what's up?"
Well, because we were a little behind him, and I was like, "I think that's that guy we met last year, but I'm not sure." And you were like, I don't know. And then,
him saying that confirmed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had a blast catching up with him and talking with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ended up playing on the game next to us.
Yeah.
And then they got knocked out round 1 too.
Yeah.
Sad day. But then he stayed and chatted with us, and he just hung out with us for almost the whole event, if not the whole thing.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So that was awesome. So overall, Funkoverse event, chef's kiss. Amazing as always.
Would do again next year.
Will do again next year.
Mm-hmm. And I think that brings Friday to a close.
And we're only 2:13 in.
Don't worry, Sunday is like a pretty low-key day, so.
I was gonna say my next 2 days are pretty quick. So.
We'll make ours pretty quick too. We got one main thing we gotta talk about, but we'll make everything else quick. Yeah, for Saturday. Saturday, Paul, run us through your quick Saturday.
I had no event scheduled. I left it open in case I had won one of the
Civ games.
Yeah, the Civ game ones, in case I wanted to do that. But also, because originally my plan was, it's Thursday and Friday, we're going to be Iowa's hanging out and doing stuff, and then my wife was going to come over the weekend. And so I also left that open just so we could do stuff. We could go check out the vendor hall, that kind of stuff. Well, my wife was down the whole time, and her brother lives pretty close to Indianapolis there. And he has 3 kids, and so my wife was staying with him while Gen Con was going on. And so Saturday, she ended up bringing both of my nephews in to Gen Con, just to show them kind of what we were doing and hang out with us for a little bit. And so we actually walked around the vendor hall with them for quite a long time. Played a fun little game called Catapult Feud, which I ended up buying like right away.
That just sounds great.
Fun.
Just a name.
It's like little plastic blocks that you build your little castle with and put your guys up on the walls, and then you have these plastic catapults that fling rubber balls across the table at the other person's castle that they built, trying to knock over the people that are inside of it. Very silly and fun and whatever. I was like, well, my kids are going to like that, so I'm going to do that. So we obviously took my nephews over there, and the people were so nice there at that booth. Like, we just sat there and let them play it for like, probably an hour. Just nonstop. They just like kept building. And then later on in the day, they wanted to go back. And, we also spent a lot of time with them at the booth where they have all the Lego minifigures and stuff like that. And they brought a little money with them, so they picked out some Lego figures, and then we bought them, some extra figures and accessories and whatever to go with their stuff. And I had fun. One of my nephews liked the little army guy that booth had, and then they had a little bits box that had like all the different like weapons and gear and stuff that you can give an army guy, and I was like, you're getting all of it. So
that's awesome.
It was a good time doing that. And then, the other thing that they really enjoyed too, which just was a happenstance as we were walking around, is we went over to where the, like, Warhammer, Games Workshop, like, stuff was. In the play area. So Games Workshop has, like, a huge line of tables that just has bits everywhere. They have a bunch of different, like, pieces that are left over from people that they just dump out on the table. And they have clippers there that you can clip stuff out if you want it. They have little files that you could sit there and work on, and they have tons of paints just laying out too if you wanted to put something together and just paint it. And
heavy breathing intensifies. Go on.
I don't know if this is accurate or not. Maybe I was stealing a bunch of stuff, but from my understanding, it was like a free for all. Like you could just come and take whatever you wanted or mess with whatever you wanted. They're leftover bits that I think people just throw out there. So have I
told you about my bonus 40K army called the Warped?
No.
So this was an army that I started making when my old game store used to sell just bits, like 40K bits for like pennies. I would go in, and every time I would go there, I would clip the bits of random stuff that would technically fit together, and I would call it a figure, and I'd buy it for like less than $1 or maybe 50 cents or something, and then go home and glue it together. And not all the pieces would have to be from 40K, because not all the pieces they sold were from 40K. There was some like random like Diddy Kong head that was somewhat close to a Space Marine size, and like Mario characters and stuff that were in there, and Winnie the Pooh. And I was like, course. I'm like stitching all this together into some cursed 40K figures, and I'm calling it an army. And so the lore behind it was that it's this new chaos god called Sid, Toy Story reference, who is able to use his own chaos spawn to kill a group of something, and then he rips them all to shreds and then pulls them into the warp, stitches them together, and then poops them out into some other battle with some other force. They go suicide crazy and kamikaze, go kill all the enemies there, and then like kamikaze themselves, and then he cuts all them apart, sucks them all back into the warp, and continues. And they're called the Warped. And me and Josh were setting it up to where we were going to have each unit or each character's stats were going to be rolled when they spawned. So it was just going to be complete random madness. And that next year I'm going to have to just dedicate a day to just making Warped at Gen Con.
Yeah, there was plenty of stuff that you could have done that and like piece stuff together, although it wouldn't have been like perfect. You'd have to like work with it a little bit, whatever. But
pictures of the Warped will now be in the video version.
Yeah, I found some bits of stuff that I was like, oh, this could be some interesting stuff for like basing an army or whatever, that people just kind of like left like these little plant things. And I found like tens of sprues like full of these little things. It's probably somewhere around like the 25-30 like sprues, like little square sprues of all these things. So I was just digging through the stuff looking for those. And my nephews just sat there with the clippers. Like I showed them how to use the clippers and to clip stuff out. And they were clipping things out and like putting like terrain pieces together with the glue that was hanging out there. And I was like, they're really into just hanging out. And they like asked to go back later in the day just to go back to that table and like clip more stuff out and build stuff. Yeah. Like they were really enjoying just putting things together. And I was like, like interesting. And so, yeah, we had a good time at that table. And so, yeah, my nephews hung out for a lot of that day. And then I think, I'm pretty sure it was Saturday that I said my wife kind of disappeared into the crafting, like room. And, and we just kind of wandered around. Didn't have any events scheduled for Saturday, so just went back to the vendor hall and tried to check out some more games that I was interested in. It took me all weekend to get a demo of the game Northgard that I had looked. I was like, oh, it looks interesting. It's rated pretty high on Board Game Geek. Like, I want to try it out. And so, like, I was trying to go back to that booth on Saturday and never could quite get a table to sit down and demo it. And so, like, I was trying that on Saturday. And we also just walked around and looked at a lot of art on Saturday, cause I bought some art the previous year for our game room that we have in our house. And I was like, we probably are going to want some more art. You know, that's one thing I'll probably get a little bit of every time I go is just some artwork. There's just some really awesome artists that are there. And a lot of different, mediums too that they use. So I'll talk about that when we get into Sunday a little bit, but yeah.
Go ahead.
That was it. That was pretty much it for.
So we started our day by playing a game that I've played, I kickstarted, and Trista's never played, Spirit of 77. Which we won't go too long on it, but it was very fun. If you've never heard of it, it's a very fun, laid back RPG set in your favorite 70s media, whatever it is. It was inspired by like all things 70s. So
yeah, this guy put like a couple different like Fantasy Island and like a whole bunch of other 70s horror type things together, and it was fun.
He made it. Yeah, I think he made his own adventure, or he took one and tweaked it a bunch. I'm not sure. I think he made it.
Yeah, I think he made it.
But it was a cruise ship, and something I'd not done in Spirit of 77 before. We all played as actual characters from like 70s media kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, you played as Snowman? I don't know.
I don't remember his name.
He was the character from Smokey and the Bandit. Snow something. Oh, shoot, I should have Googled it. I thought you'd just know.
No.
There was a Nancy Drew. There was...
Elvis.
Well, I was saving Elvis, but I was Elvis. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, Snowman, I think that's his name. Cletus.
Yeah.
Cletus Snow. Otherwise known as the Snowman. So you played as Cletus.
Yes, I did.
And you were our good old boy, which is a solid staple in a team of Spirit of 77.
Yeah, I had the cool car.
Well, because you could do so many cool things with the cool car.
Yeah.
And then we had, a couple other characters, but I can't remember who they were.
Some, like, reporter and...
Oh, it was...
We were not prepared for this part.
No, I wasn't. We almost completely forgot it because I didn't take any pictures of this. The team that we had was pretty fun. There was a couple people that weren't really into it, I guess.
There were 5 of us, and like 2 of them didn't really do very much.
Kolchak.
Okay, yeah.
Kolchak was one of the characters.
Or say very much. The one guy just like, he fell asleep at one point.
Yeah, there was one guy who literally just like fell asleep.
Or was just like scrolling on his phone. And like, I haven't played very many games like that, but I don't know, like why would you go to an event if you're just gonna like not do anything?
Yeah, they were just kind of, I mean, sorry if whoever those people are listening to this, I doubt it, but, they just,
sorry.
Well, there was one guy that was just like, checked out the entire time. And I don't know if it was like, they were late and they were tired, or they came to this event because they lost a bet.
I don't know. But us and Nancy Drew held it together.
Well, yeah. So that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
We had a roaring good time. And then after that, we met two legends from our childhood.
Yep.
We met. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah,
okay.
you can tell them.
No,
I'm jealous. So jealous.
Well, we met Jason Marsden and Bill Farmer, the voices of Goofy and Max.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just at the Funko booth during the day, so anybody who wanted to go meet them could meet them. And we got there.
So they were signing stuff.
Yeah, so they were signing stuff there. I had a Goofy and a Max pop, so I had them sign that. And Trista had a pop of Danny
from Hocus Pocus,
who also had a tiny little Binks.
Mm-hmm. And Jason Marsden was the voice of Binks the cat.
So
I had him sign that.
And they signed all those. The funny thing that happened during that was Bill Farmer smudged my autograph while he was writing it with my paint pen. So it's Bill Farmer, and it says and then he wrote Goofy, and the Y in Goofy is smudged, like real bad. And a normal collector would scream. I was, and I probably would have too, but that this was Goofy. And I was like, you know what? If the real Goofy were signing an autograph, he would goof it up. So I was like, this is just more authentic to me now. So I love it. I love it just the way it is. But Funko was holding a VIP event with them that had a whole panel, a meet and greet, and you can get your photo with them. And then you got a signed copy of the Goofy movie game, which was premiering at Gen Con, and that was the reason they were there. They were there to promote the game. And so we came into the room, which was the room that we played Funkoverse in, because they were hosting all their events out of that room, because why not? You have the room. And we were like, I want to say the 10th or 11th people in line to get in there.
Yeah.
And we went and sat down. I just picked a table kind of near where we started the night prior in Funkoverse, and I was like, we'll just sit here. And Trista's like, hey, look, right there, a table with 2 microphones and 2 chairs. I wonder who will be sitting there. And I was like, oh, you're right. And we went over and we sat right up, the seats that were right next to where they were. And so
you could probably reach out and touch them.
Yeah. And the photos that should be playing right now in the video version should prove that, because we had an awesome angle to be taking pictures of them during this event. I couldn't have gotten a better angle. In fact, the Funko team that was taking pictures were taking pictures pretty much right next to us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
We're just like, oh, hey, you like these pictures? You want some too? And we got a couple of videos, some of them longer than others, just of them answering questions. I got the back 17 minutes recorded.
Yeah, they answered a lot of questions. They were super excited to be there. And
they were having a blast.
Yeah. Super nice guys.
Yeah. It was really awesome to talk to them and meet them. They were really nice with everybody. They took the time to really meet and talk to everybody. And the movie was playing in the background while we were all playing the game. And at a certain point, the game is really fast.
Yeah.
It's fun, but you can crank that game out in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's a nice, quick, I don't have a whole lot of time game.
I'm sure you could make it take a little longer if you took your time with it.
Well, the thing is, it just takes one person to get to the concert.
Yeah.
And then the whole game is everyone has to get there now.
Well, you can get to the concert first and still not win.
Yeah.
Because I got there first, but I didn't win.
You got close.
Yeah.
But yeah, the whole point of that game was to race across the country to the Powerline concert and not to miss it. Get the best seat in the house.
You gotta get there before Powerline gets
You gotta get there before Powerline, and I did not.
Nope.
In our 3-player game, I was the only one who didn't make it to the concert. I was sad. So you played as Max, our friend Rando played as PJ, and then I played as Bobby.
Yeah.
That was fun. The other character you can play as is Roxanne.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a Goofy and a Powerline figure that are AI that are doing different things. Like, obviously, Powerline is the clock.
Yeah.
Goofy's just kind of there. He's there to, like, denote one game mechanic, and that's it.
Because it'd be weird if he wasn't.
Honestly, it would, yeah. They had to fit all those characters in somehow.
But yeah, they were playing the movie, which I wish they had played it on like kind of a bigger screen maybe, or had more of like a viewing, but they did have it playing in the background, and then the actors like started doing some commentary for it.
And based on what the event was advertised as, I thought we were going to get the full movie with their commentary, and I was excited for that.
Yeah.
But then we didn't get that, and I was like, well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to end up going somewhere like halfway through the movie, 3/4 of the way through the movie.
Yeah.
And it was fine. But so we wished them all goodbye. But while they were there and everyone's games were done, it really did just become everyone just sitting around and watching them like give commentary on the movie, which was awesome.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Bill Farmer and Jason Marsden's favorite part of a Goofy movie is Lester's Possum Park.
Yeah. they love it.
I didn't know someone could love that scene so much, but they just loved it so much. So yeah, that was our Saturday. Oh, okay. One quick thing that they did. Okay. There was a little hole in the wall.
Oh yeah.
So there was a panel. There was a group, like some room next to us that was just playing random games. Like I don't even know who was owning that room, but it was full and there were people playing it, and they could hear what we had going on in our room.
Yeah.
And there was at one point after all the questions were done that someone asked, they were like, "Can we have one Goofy yell?" And Bill Farmer did the like, did that whole thing. And all of us cheered. We were like, yeah. And then after we were all done cheering, the next room over was cheering.
Yeah.
And we all looked up. We were like, oh, hey, there's a hole there.
Yeah, it was really funny.
That was favorite part.
We did give out Dice Time cards to some like Funko Games people.
And to them.
Yes. Oh, and to the actors as well.
So they could be listening to this right now.
Yeah. So if you are, hi. And
hi.
Funko Games, you guys put on great events, and we love going to them.
We would be your roadies if you went to other events.
Yeah.
But we love to see a Gen Con every year, and we'll buy tickets to pretty much everything you put on, because everything you put on is gold.
And it was funny, too, because we were like, because I paid attention to who was at the Funkoverse event, and then who was at the Goofy Movie event, and we're like really the only people that I noticed who were crossed over between both events.
We were the crossover.
Yeah.
We are the Funko Game Sims.
I don't know why I expected to see more people from like Funkoverse there, but I guess it's just like different crowds, maybe.
Because we're just Funko Sims. That's why.
That will conclude Saturday.
So we're no longer called Dice Time. We're going to be called Funko Simps. next episode. Are you ready for that, Paul?
Yeah.
Rebrand.
Let's do it.
All right, Paul. Let's do just like the real
Sunday.
let's do like real Gen Con, and we're just gonna race through Sunday and call it.
Yeah, I guess I forgot that my wife did not come back on Sunday. She came home because. So I just forgot what order it happened in. So she did all of her shopping and got all of her artwork and stuff. Saturday, I'm pretty sure.
Then you've got nothing Sunday.
Yeah. So I mean, I just walked around the vendor hall
like
some more, and I bought some of my stuff that I wanted to buy. Went back and bought some games and things like that, but I was like, oh, wish I would have bought that before.
Well, Sunday's a good deal day.
Yeah, we were supposed to have like a demo or like a game that we played Sunday morning.
We slept in.
But it was early and like we were up really late the night before and we just didn't make it.
But it was fine.
Yeah.
In recompense, we went and bought the
game.
Yeah, in recompense, we went and bought the game anyway.
Ruby Combat Ready.
Combat Ready.
Yeah.
We went and bought it anyway because we were like, well, we're gonna buy it.
Yeah.
Unless we play the demo and we hate it, which was like not happening. But we did play the demo table that Modifius had. Modifius? Am I saying that right? Looks different on paper than it is when I say it, but whatever. their table that they had set up for Fallout Wasteland Warfare because I bought the game like 2 years ago and I've never played it.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the advantage of having someone who knows all the rules and having a table set up and figures painted, and I played the game. So Trista and I played a quick little game of Survivors versus Super Mutants, and that was fun. Outside of Nuka World.
The demo guy was super nice. We also gave cards to him. So, What's up, dude? You're not listening, but if you are.
And he can correct me. He can say, like, no, you're saying our company name wrong, and how dare you? Unless he was just a volunteer, and he's like, I don't care. I'm not going back. Yeah. We also played the Butterfly. Fluttering Souls.
Fluttering Souls.
That's it. I was going to go look for it. I was going to be like, quick, talk about it while I looked for it.
It's like a little 2-person game where you just like match up cards and...
It was this year's Gentle Rain.
Yeah.
Last year we had Gentle Rain was our calm little game to play just for time filling.
Although this one actually has like competition.
Yeah, this one you're competing. It's not co-op, but it was this year's Gentle Rain.
Yeah, low key.
So
one thing that I noticed about Gen Con in general this year is still all the distribution issues that companies are having getting product and all of that in. Because
AMG didn't have their demo tables set up on Friday or on Thursday.
Yeah, they
came in on Friday.
There were multiple games that I played while I was there that companies are like, well, we just don't have it right now. You can pre-order on, with this QR code and it'll ship to you. And I was like, they were sold out already. They didn't have anything left, and they were
the Surrealist one.
Yeah, the Surrealist dinner party.
I really wanted to buy that too. Yeah.
There were quite a few games that were like that I was like, that's really unfortunate for you because if it were here, I would buy it. But now that it's not here, I'm not gonna buy it. Like I didn't.
Yeah, they were like, we can order it. You can order it and have it shipped, and then I'm just like, the moment's gone.
I can order it anytime though.
Yeah. I wanted to buy it today.
Not to be like, I don't mean to be like a Karen about it, but it's just like, there's something about like, it's not that like, I'm never gonna buy your game if it's not here, but it's like, it's gonna get me over the finish line for sure.
Right.
If it's there.
Right.
Like, if I have time to think about it and stuff, it's gonna move down on my priority list.
If I have time to think. I like that way to put it.
There was actually a couple games by the same people, what is it, Wise Wizard Games, the same people who make the Hero Realms, Star Realms, game. They had 2 games that I played at their booth that I really liked. I played them at different times and I was like, wow. And, one of them we went back and played twice. It was called, now I'm gonna draw a blank on it.
As you do.
Yep, I don't remember what the name of it was called, but it was essentially like the Hero Realms and Star Realms games where it's like a little deck builder, except there's also a board on it. It can play up to 4 people at a time. And not only do you have your deck of cards that gives you like energy to power your little robot, but then it's also like the old show Battle Bots where you're robots going around the arena with its different weapons and stuff, like hitting other robots and trying to do damage to them, and so you get points by taking health off of other robots. And there's a little bit of like different areas on the board, so it's good to have your robot sitting in like the central zone where it scores you points at the beginning of your turn if you're there, but it's also close to the tack strip, like whatever, where if you get pushed onto it, you take damage. And it was a fun little game. Played pretty quickly. Liked it. Now I do remember the other game that I played that I wanted to go back and play, but we didn't get a chance to get an open table to play it a second time. But it was called Kapow. And they did not have that was one of them that they didn't have copies in yet, but that you could pre-order. And it was a little heads up, superhero game where you were, like one person was a superhero, one was a supervillain, and it had a mixture of custom dice but then also had, I don't know if you've seen them, the dice games that you build the die faces onto the die.
Oh, okay.
Like as you go, you put like a little like kind of Lego little piece like onto the die face.
That's cool.
And so you have these different kinds of dice that you're like, as your, superhero or supervillain, you're slowly like powering up and getting more dice or getting these dice that you can customize the faces on. And then you roll them out and then you have a board in front of you that's like, if I want to do an attack, I have to have like this, if I put a punch symbol, it does 2 damage. If I have a blank symbol or, any kind of symbol, it will do 1 damage. That would be my base. And then they have, things that you can add to that base damage and multiply to that base damage based on what symbols you get on your dice. You can do the same thing you can do it with attack, defense, and then kind of like a leveling up kind of powering up section. And you do all of this, like you roll your dice and you decide where you're going to go, all behind a little like board. So it's hidden from your opponent. And then once you guys both decide on your own end what you're going to do, you reveal you pull that board off to the side and you reveal what you did. So if we were playing against each other, I might have focused a lot of my dice into my defense and preventing damage. And maybe powering up like my different dice, getting more dice, whatever, while you might have put yours into doing damage and then upgrading your dice or something like that. And so then, you compare how much attack that you had total compared to how much defense I had. If I could take damage, based on like what I didn't defend, I would get to level up my dice and things like that. And then you go on to the next round and you just keep going until someone gets knocked out. But it's that kind of like, there's the chance element with the dice, but then there's also the strategy of like, well, I think my opponent is going to do this. So if I do this, that might counter that. Or there's also special things where if you know how your opponent plays, like, lots of people who've played me in games or played games with me know that I tend to be like a defensive player who likes to build up, and then have a really strong, like, end game kind of thing. And so if you're playing against me, there's abilities that you can utilize that are like, for every die face your opponent puts on a die this turn, they take 2 damage. And so you can kind of play some like counter play in that too, based on your dice. But it's a gamble too, right? Because if I didn't put any of my dice to add those, then you just kind of wasted that power of doing damage to me for manipulating that part of the game or whatever. So it was a really interesting little game, and it's one of those, like I said, it's unfortunate they didn't have it because I would have bought a copy right there. But instead, like, I didn't go ahead and buy it. And so, not that I won't buy it in the future, I was just like, I don't know that I
still there.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I want to buy it for something I'm going to get 3 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now or whatever. It's like, maybe when it comes out, then I'll look at it again and see if I'm still, like, in the mood for it. But yeah, it was just, and that wasn't the only, company that had that issue.
No.
There were multiple companies that
everyone
it was
has
like,
some kind of problem.
Yep, we didn't. We thought we were going to get it. We didn't. It'll ship out next week. The Civilization game that I played, they had very limited copies. And then they said, like, you can order it from us, but it'll ship to you 2 weeks after Gen Con when everything else, like when the shipments come in. Now. It was just like, ugh.
Congrats to anyone who did that. You're getting your game soon. It's shipping now.
Yeah. So really just, interesting.
Awesome. Well, just like real Gen Con, this podcast will take you multiple days to get through.
Yeah.
The best 2 hours and 46 minutes in gaming. As opposed to the best 4 days. But I think, overall, out of 10, 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Yep, definitely.
2 thumbs up out of 10.
Sure.
Sounds good.
My dad decided he wants to go next year because he just loved hearing all our stories, and he was like, wow, I feel like I'm missing out.
Well, if he comes and he's an integral part of our weekend, he'll be in the next Gen Con episode.
Well, I'm sure he would love that. Hi,
I
Dad.
would too.
There we go.
I'm sure he'll be listening to this one.
To know how he missed out.
Yeah. Detail. Lots of detail.
Well, thanks everybody for joining us, both co-hosts and listener. So, thank you everyone for listening to this month's or this year's Gen Cons episode of Dice Time. We hope you had a dice time listening to us today. And we'll either see you next month or 2 months, I don't know now, for the next episode. Or if you're just our yearly Gen Con episode listener, we'll see you next year. Until then, we're recovering in the med bay, and I'm Ben Jetron.
I'm Paul Watson.
And I'm Trista Walker.
And I'm gonna also wish you a good night and a happy Gen Con. Go out and make today even better.